Hello, people. This is Danny Alcaraz at internetcityliveradio.com. If you want to go live, listen to us or look at us, we're going to go. You can go to internetcityliveradio.com or go to YouTube. And today we have some candidates for the first ward and the second ward. We got Mr. Theodore Sanchez and Sandra Ibarra. How you doing? How you guys doing?
Good evening,
Great.
sir. Thank you.
Great.
Little
I'm excited to
tired,
be
but
here.
we're here.
You guys were walking out today, huh?
Ooh,
Yeah.
from 11 to 7. It was a beautiful day, so I took advantage.
Oh, yeah.
You guys did nothing but walking? Buy one of
No.
those scooters or something?
You know, I was reading the newspaper this morning before I went to walk, and I see Henry Nickel on the front page in a neighborhood on an electric scooter.
Really?
Front page.
Really?
And I started to think,
Henry?
those things can't be more than a couple $100, because sometimes your next house on the list is like 2 blocks away,
True.
and so that walk, that's what tires you out. You spend half your time when you're talking to voters. You spend half your time getting to the house. I think that wouldn't be half bad.
Yeah.
I think we can probably deduct it from our campaign funds, too.
I'll pay for that myself. That's fine. I'll pay for that myself. I'll use it after.
So
I'll
anybody
use
who
it
questions
after.
our 460s.
Yeah.
I got one of those golf carts if you want to use that.
That wouldn't be half bad, man. Those are pretty neat.
Yeah.
Those would be one charge. You charge it in the garage overnight. You just
Yeah.
take that thing out. The only problem is that I don't know how you don't want to just leave that cart there on the sidewalk or on the curb and then walk to your voter, because then you go and you're talking to them at their doorstep. You turn around, it might be gone.
I should consider getting some wheelies. Those tennis shoes with the wheels on the back.
Oh yeah.
Bring them back in style.
Yeah.
So we're getting close to November 6th.
Yes.
Yeah. Holy.
And how your guys' people or constituents, what are they saying? I'm curious.
Senator, you want to go first?
My end, they're excited. They're excited because they haven't had a candidate at their door for years. Some have been decades. So it's all about community engagement for me. And I am here to serve the community, the city, and the people who live here, more than the businesses. And I want to hear from them all. And what service will I give them if I'm not making myself approachable and, getting my name out there and talking to them face to face? So I wanted to know that I'm here to represent them.
So
And they're excited, so it's a good
that's
good feedback.
30,000 in your ward, right?
30,000, and of those 30,000, 12,000 are registered voters, 12,500, and then of those 12,000, only 1,700 voted in June. Yeah.
So is that around 10%?
Um,
I would say that. I would say that's about 10%, right?
a little bit higher. So we had a good turnout this past June. Usually it would be the 10%, which is the 1,200 or less.
Ted?
Well, when I'm talking to the voters at the door, most of them have never had anyone talk to them at the door.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, they're like, "Oh, you're the first person ever," because I'll start up, I'll give them my pitch, and I'll talk to them, and I'll hand over the walk piece to them, and they'll tell me, "Oh, wait, you're the guy on this picture. Oh, you're the candidate." I'm like, yeah. It's nobody's ever done that here.
At least they recognize you on the picture. For me, they don't think it's me. I'm wearing a
lying.
cap because it's hot out there. I can't wear my hair down.
Can't do that.
And
Can't do that. No,
I
no,
can't
no,
even
no.
wear my bun. I usually have a bun at the
Yeah,
council
yeah.
meetings, and I need to cover myself from the sun.
Uh-huh.
So,
No,
they
well,
don't think it's me.
I'm sacrificing the I'm sacrificing the face here
Okay,
for,
the
for
UV
the
rays.
campaign. Well, because I would show you, but the back of my neck you can see a very distinct line. There's like white and dark brown on the back of my neck, because I mean, for me, I set my own rule, and I said I can't wear a hat, wear glasses when I'm walking, because I have to be able to look right at the constituents, the voters, and on top of it, I'm walking up to a house that I've never been to before. I don't know the people there. I show up with a baseball cap and big dark glasses. They might think I'm trying to.
They actually think
trying to
I'm code.
burglarize.
They actually think they've already thought that I've been code enforcement or a private investigator going
Oh,
to
yeah?
their door.
What?
Yeah, it's like no, I'm a candidate. I'm here to present myself to you guys.
Yeah.
So yes, they.
No, so I make sure that I'm not wearing a cap or glasses. So my skin has gotten a lot darker in the last couple weeks. I don't have a problem with it, but I feel like, and my skin's dark enough already. I don't usually burn. I just tan. I bronze. But I'm really pushing the limit here because right up here and right in the back of my neck, it's getting pretty
Summertime, man.
pretty tender. Yeah, especially here in Southern California.
So how many people are in the first ward?
30,000.
30,000.
10,000 households. You get a couple thousand voters. Very, very low turnout in the last couple of years. There's been an uptick recently, but
I thought there was 9,000 registered voters in the first ward.
yeah, but of the high proclivity voters, there's only a fraction of that. There, you're only talking about 3,000 voters, 3,000 high proclivity voters, and we're not even talking high proclivity. They voted at least once in the last 5 or 6 elections. So you got a lot of people who register who aren't, who have never voted once.
So how do we fix all that? I mean, how do we fix from the people kind of giving up on the city and being?
Oh, this isn't a problem. This is definitely not a problem just facing the city. You look at voter turnout in off-year elections or non-presidential election years nationally, and they're significantly lower. So then what do you do? You do a case study. You look at a country with a very high voter turnout, and you see there that there's real investment in public education. There's real investment in developing culture and making sure that people don't stay behind. And so the problem here is we're not really investing, and we're not implanting these ideas into the young minds at the national level.
So my question is, how do we motivate these young people?
You show them that it's important. I mean, you don't take civics. You don't take U.S. government until you're late in high school. Kids in Western Europe, kids in countries with high voter turnout, they're coming out. They're teaching them. They're teaching them the values of the country. They're teaching values of a republic and a democracy really early on. They're taught that at home by their parents who went to school and in primary school were taught the same thing. So this really rests a lot on the school districts and cities really implanting that idea, because if you're not taught this at school, you might be lucky and you might have some parents that teach you. My parents taught me, so that's why I voted. Since I've been 18, it was like a holiday for us.
Mm-hmm.
It was a holiday. I turned 18, and then when my sisters turned 18 and we could vote, I mean, we'd get our candidate statements, we'd get our ballots, and we'd look over them. We'd debate the issues. We'd talk to them. We didn't vote as a block. Everyone made their own decision at the end, but we talked about the issues. And then day of the election, we would go out, and we never voted by mail. We always would go out to the polls, and we would go out as a family. We'd vote, and then we'd go and eat afterwards. It was like a mini holiday, and we felt like we participated. You go to other countries, and it's like a holiday. The day of elections is a holiday. Here, it's considered a chore. People, I don't want to.
Well, for me, I had a different experience. My parents both came from Mexico, Jalisco, Mexico. So voting for them has never been something that crosses their mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I know for me in high school, there was a lot of protesting against Prop 187 back then in the early, I want to say mid-90s, early mid-90s. And I wanted to know what was going on. So when I was taking those history classes of, all the social movements that happened, it motivated me. So when I turned 18, I registered to vote. My parents, they're lazy. They're like, let them be. But for me, it was more of those who came before me and the sacrifices that they did that motivates me to vote. Whether it's the local, federal, the state level, I always try to vote. On my end, with the minors, with the youth, I do like, everybody of all ages. I don't leave anybody out. And in my blog, all the young children, they see me, they greet me, and they know how I've been heavily involved with the community. And, And they told me, it's like, Sandra, if I could vote, if I could be 18, I'd vote for you. So we had a beautiful event actually yesterday. One of our community members, Jason Lola, he does the wax skateboarding. He always has an end of summer barbecue bash. He invited me this summer, so he had families show up with children as young. I want to say maybe there were maybe like 9-year-olds, 8-year-olds that were there, up until even 21, 22-year-olds in the skating competition. So I had a little, like a minute pep talk to all of them, and I told them, it's like, it's important to vote and get involved with your local elected leaders, because if the elected leaders are not held responsible, they're going to make decisions that will impact you and your environment. This park would not have been made possible without the efforts of community members like Jason, who gathered signatures and who went to these meetings to make sure that John Cole's legacy was recognized by naming the skate park after John Cole, which was a skater that they all knew and loved dearly. So I told him, it's like, I don't know where you all live. We had young people from Loma Linda, Highland, and Grand Terrace that were there at the skate competition. And I said, wherever it is that you live, if you're under 18 and you have brothers and sisters or family members that are qualified to register to vote, tell them to register and to vote. Because there could be a park that all they need is people's vote to gather money to make that park happen. But if they're not voting, it may not even happen. And this happened because Jason loves this community. And so that's what I do. I do have pending a visit to our Law and Society students at San Marino High School. They want to get engaged with the community and local politics. So I have pending up on my pipeline to go visit the senior class and talk to them about voting and getting involved with their local politicians.
So once a month we have a show here. It's called the Millennials.
Cool.
And we ask their opinion if they vote. And there's quite a few of them. And their answers are, why should we vote? Because it's too hard out there. We go get our educations and we got to pay the loans back and all that kind of stuff. And we can't make it out there in society because there ain't no jobs out there. And the bottom line is we got to move back to our parents' house. And the reply was, why should we vote if it doesn't matter? So
I get that a lot.
Our vote don't count. So I want to hear what you guys got to say about the millennial, because that's our next generation. So,
well, I've had a huge voter apathy in the second ward. I've talked to people of all ages, and that's what they say. Our vote doesn't matter. Right. And bottom line, I tell them, it's like, do you like how the city's coming along? And a lot of people are not happy. To them, it's on a downward spiral. And I tell them, it's like, well, I see here that you've been registered to vote for several years, and you're not voting. Mm-hmm. And that's what they say about my vote doesn't matter. It's like, it does matter. Because when you have 12,000 registered voters and only 1,000 or 1,200 vote,
there's something wrong with that picture, right?
Exactly. So it's like an eye-opener for them. It's like, really? It's like, yes. And those people, the few people who are voting, they get to decide who's going to represent you. Whether that person is going to come listen to your concerns or not, you have no say. You didn't vote. And that's where we're at. And so I was happy when I got the results of those who voted in June, that some of these people that I reached out to, they actually came out to vote for the first time, and some of them are decades already. So I think on this end, it's going to be our work as potential elected leaders for the city to reach out to them and really emphasize the importance of voting. Otherwise, the voter apathy is going to continue.
It's just the same.
And the same with the millennials. They think they have no voice. And I tell them, it's like, you do have a voice. Because what we decide now, whether it's property taxes or bonds, it's going to affect you when you graduate college and you want to buy a home and you can't afford it. I came from Santa Ana, and to buy a home in Santa Ana, that was $400,000. I had good credit. I had paid off my student loan. I couldn't buy a house near my family. And that's when I came out here to San Bernardino, and I was easily able to buy a house. But That's why I keep fighting against parcel tax.
Mm-hmm.
The increase on the trash, and people don't realize that this is going to affect even their parents, them, their children. The parcel tax goes up 3% every year.
Bottom
By
line
time-
is you got the mayor and the diocese, and they make the rules, and you can talk against them or this ordinance resolution, blah blah blah.
They're only here temporarily.
Right. So whatever they pass is what we got to live by,
Exactly.
and we got to pay those issues. So Ted, what's your issue on the millennials voting and could change the next generation?
Oh, well, first of all, I think that they're very different than past generations because they do believe that it's time to get involved, but they don't see voting as one of those options.
Because you're a millennial yourself.
I'm a millennial. I was born
Yes, you are.
1988, and I think the millennial generation started in 85.
I missed
So-
it by a couple of years.
So yeah, so I'm right in there.
So
and
if
it goes-
you win, so you're gonna be our first millennial inside the city.
I think I will be.
Yeah.
Oh,
You and
look at
Alex,
that.
Alex Beltran from the 4th Ward too.
Uh-huh.
She's a millennial.
Oh, is she really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's
Yeah. So I'm 30 now, and a lot of it has to go back to. This has to be taught at the schools. This has to be taught within the family. You have to explain to kids. Guess what? Your voice can be heard at the local level. Elections are decided sometimes by a dozen votes. It's just that people think that the only vote that I vote in the presidential election and 5 million votes don't count, right? Because it doesn't matter if the popular vote doesn't it can be a discrepancy between the winner and the winner of the popular vote, and so people think 5 million votes don't matter. What do you think? My one vote matters? No.
At the local level, though,
At the
that's
local
where
level,
it
it's a couple,
really
it's a couple
does matter.
dozen votes sometimes. And these are the people who really can make a difference at the
Yes.
local level. I mean, you don't call the president of the United States, or you don't call your senator if you have a broken street light, or you have a pothole in front of your house, or a neighbor who's troublesome neighbor. You call your councilman. You call your councilman, and so people don't know that. And so what you do is when you go out and you talk to people, like Sandra and I have been doing, people start to think, well, yeah, you know what, you're right. Maybe I should vote. And then it grows into that seed grows into a small tree, a sapling, and then a tree, and then guess what? Their kids go to school and they teach their kids, hey, get involved. And then it becomes an option, because right now millennials think that many millennials think that protesting in the streets or going out and demonstrating or protesting a particular national candidate can solve something at their local level, and it does something. But there's more than one option here. They can go out and vote. Go out and vote for your mayor, your councilman, for your state assemblyman, your state senator, your congressman.
So I'm kind of curious, Ted. You're a millennial. So what made you decide to get into politics and to run for office?
Well,
What
I'm
connected-
not. This is my. I was born and raised here. I live in the same neighborhood that I grew up in, and for me, there really wasn't the option to, and not because I couldn't, but there really wasn't an option for me to leave, because this is my home. My family's here. I feel real deep roots here, so I didn't want to leave. So what do you do if you have complaints? Do you go in and just hunker down in your house, or do you go out and vote and then take it one step further and run for public office? But you know what, I can maybe do a better job than my current council person. So I mean, it's no secret.
You need to get closer to the mic, Ted.
Oh, okay. Or maybe I'll get the mic closer to me.
Sit up straight.
Lean back. I'm trying to take a really relaxed approach to today's interview, but your cable is in my way, Sandra.
Oh,
Or this one.
oh, that one.
It's
Okay.
hanging over me. Okay, so yeah.
Now we can hear you.
There we go. Now you can hear my.
I was wondering why
you can
I'm
hear
the
my
loud
deep
one.
voice. Yeah. Yeah. And I thought, you know what? I would put in those CRMs. Those CRMs. I was putting in like 50 of those a week. And then I thought, wait a second. Looks like I'm doing someone else's job.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I thought, well, I can do this. And have the power of the pulpit, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, well, I'm doing it. And so I really took some time. I talked to family, talked to friends.
So what do your millennial friends say about you running for office?
Oh, they love it. And they're behind me 100%. Every time, hey, man, you need someone to drive you while you're out there talking to voters, you just give me a call. I got people out there who, my parents, my family, they're all on board 100%. They've helped out quite a bit. My girlfriend, wonderful lady, and I had told her, hey, this is a wild ride. You ready for this? And she's like, all right, behind you 100%. So I have her commitment. So there's times when she thought, hey, you're busy. You're busy either at work or now you're busy with the campaign. So I see you, 2 hours a week. Like just give me some time. This is important for me. And
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. And she lives here. So I mean, she wants to see good things happen here. So she's like, well, if you're doing good, then I'm on board.
Sandra,
Yes, sir.
so what made you decide to go into the politics and actually run for office?
Well, if people watch the city council meetings, they've probably seen me go up there and give him my 2 cents. And it's heartbreaking that you go as a constituent and you tell them the concerns of everybody who lives around you on certain projects, and they still vote the way they wish, not really caring how it's affecting them all. So that for me was heartbreaking. I've been watching how some of the money gets mismanaged around the city.
Mm-hmm.
They lay off city employees, and they give that money in return to consultants. I don't think that's right. Them outsourcing also our local firefighters, and then trying to outsource. Well, we did get the refuse outsourced, and there was talk of the animal shelter being outsourced as well. These are tiny things that maybe the city doesn't think it's important and that another company can take care of it. But when we outsource, these become privatized, and these companies, they can decide how much they want to charge us.
Yes.
And it's something that, if we can budget, the city, I don't think we need to be laying off employees and outsourcing.
So we need to keep the jobs in San Bernardino
Yes.
in-house.
Correct.
You agree with that, Ted?
Oh, I couldn't agree more. When we invest in our businesses are going to continue to invest here.
And our property owners.
There's too much money leaving the. You have people. So many in my district, 10,000 households. Average household income of $35,000, and that's with 1, 2, 3 people working in the household. That's not good. And guess what? They go out and they work in Los Angeles. They get up at 3 a.m. and then they drive for 2 hours to work. They go make money for them over there, and they come back here. That's 4 hours they don't spend with their family. That's 4 hours that they don't tell their kids, hey, you know what? How was school? Go out and vote when you turn 18. All these things, and so it's causing serious problems. This is a new social disease. This commuting is a serious problem. It's poisoning our air. Kids don't get to see their parents. Their parents are tired. They're exhausted. They're running through cars because guess what? They just put 100,000 miles on a car that they've only had for 2 or 3 years.
And I actually commuted my first
Right?
couple months when I was working at UC Irvine when I bought my house here, and it was leaving at home at 6 a.m, coming back home at 8 p.m. That wasn't life, and I made it my goal. It took me a year to find a local job here. My goal is to live and work in the city. I'm happily employed now in the city locally, so it takes me half hour just taking the streets, or if I get traffic. But at least I'm not on traffic for 2 hours straight one way. I was spending about $400 on gas every month.
My next
So-
question is going to be the violence in San Bernardino. So, do you think it's better now, or do you think it's still a lot of violence here?
I see a shaking head over there, and
I
I'm
do
gonna
too.
have to say I agree. The violence is going up. I was just talking to someone here on the west side, and they told me, yeah, man, it was starting to cool down a little bit. It was starting to get better, and I've seen an uptick in the last 6 months. So there were shell casings right here on my porch. They shot some guy over here, and then they left, and they came back a half hour later to finish the job. I'm thinking, oh, this is really happening. This is really happening in our little neighborhood streets over here,
Mhm.
and it is. I mean, look at the news. I mean, how many people have we had?
A lot.
We've had fatalities. We've
Well,
had one,
we've had a lot in the second ward,
but we've had
especially where
how many people?
one of
how
our
many people
listeners
shot?
lives.
Yeah, how many people shot?
It's like every week.
Well, I know on Sierra and Wabash we had 3 women that got shot not too long ago,
Mhm,
and I think
yeah.
2 of them passed away. Not sure about the third one. And then in my block, I've had drive-bys, and when I was having those drive-bys, I was actually going to the city council meeting and reporting it to the city manager. I put her accountable because she is the CEO. She needs to make sure that the department heads and the departments are functioning correctly. So as a neighborhood watch block captain, we were reporting the criminal activity for months, from October through February, until that guy got killed. You know, and people say, oh, you're too aggressive on our city. It's like, you have to understand where we live. There are families, there's children in that block who are at the first unit of those apartments are getting aimed at. They're innocent. And these people have beef with somebody, or they're mad at somebody, and they aim at the apartment without knowing where that person they're going after lives, putting those children and those families in danger.
My next question
So-
is, as you guys as candidates, what do we need to do to reduce this crime?
Well, on my end, easy. I actually want to encourage people to step up in each block to become block captains,
Okay.
especially if they're bilingual. We have a population that only speaks Spanish, and we have population that speaks English. On my end, it's been very instrumental that I am bilingual, and I'm able to have my 2 text groups, one in Spanish, one in English, and when something happens, they notify me, or I see it as well, and I let them know. It's like, just so you know, there is somebody outside your property. Are you home? Is anybody there? And so I'm actually, when I go for the cleanups that Ted mentioned earlier, I've been trying to talk to those youth. We have several high school students who go, and I ask them, are you fully bilingual? And they're like, yeah. It'd be great if you became a block captain, because a lot of these people, especially where we live in the second ward, they're afraid of being retaliated against. We have state laws that are releasing felons into our city, our state, everywhere. And if somebody were to put a finger on who did the shooting, everybody else is going to say that person told PD on you. And what's going to happen? PD will arrest them. They'll take them to jail, and they come right back out, and they go after those people.
This is my opinion. I think that since we went into the bankruptcy, we lost 100 officers, and the criminals know.
They do know, yes.
They know, so they need to travel to commit their crimes. So if we don't have enough officers to pull them over or whatever we need to do to find them, we need more officers, bottom line.
Well, Danny, our streets are dark.
Danny, you're taking my lines from me, man.
The streets are dark, so when we're calling dispatch and we have to give a description of the vehicle, of the person,
Mm-hmm.
we can't see. That's the main concern. And on our block, we're trying to put our lights at our homes because the trees don't get trimmed. In my block, we have 3 Edison light poles. That's all we have. We don't even have city lights in our block. With those trees not being trimmed, you can't see anything in that section. And they're only and at the corners or in the middle. I've been fighting to get the street lights fixed on East Street, for example. And when we drove here, I'm like, oh, it's dark out here too. It's dark everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So these criminals, they know that they're going to be released right back out to the street, that we don't have enough PD to arrest them, and we don't have the capacity. It's a lot of paperwork they have to fill out.
Right.
We don't have the lights, and they take advantage of it.
So you guys agree with that? We need more officers?
Oh yeah, look. So there's 60 square miles in this city. At any given time, there's as of at least last year, at any given time, there's only about 12 to 16 patrols. 12 to 16 patrols for 60 square miles in a city this size, with a population density like we have. 12 to 15 patrols is not 12 to 16 patrols. That's not enough. I mean, my parents' home has been burglarized, and they literally showed up the next day. I mean, they couldn't be nicer. The cops were working hard, but when they got 50 calls, I did a police ride-along last year, and they got
in, right?
the calls are coming in like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
These guys are stressed out. I mean, we need police, and you get experienced police leaving the city for different departments. Police with experience that gets that they can get things done quicker. Right? I mean, it comes with experience, and we have the experienced officers leaving, and then you got, as they call it themselves at the dispatch office, baby police, and they're, it takes them longer to get to a call. It takes them longer to deal with the issues. So we need police retention, and you do that by making sure that our pay and our retirement and benefits is comparable. We're not asking for them to be better than any other city. We're asking for them to be comparable. And that's how you get experienced police to stay on our force.
We need more officers, more cops to go around cruising the city. Is what we need.
Well, I think we can fight crime on several different levels. We can have the police officers, good, but I think as a community, we also need to outreach to the youth, because maybe the youth themselves don't have positive role models at home, and if there's nobody reaching out to them, they won't see other potentials that they have. If all they know is a gang life, they're going to join a gang. If all they know is drugs, if let's say their parents abuse drugs, they're going to do it as well. So we need positive role models. We need crime intervention, crime prevention. I know there's several local nonprofits who do after-school programs for the youth, but it's going to take a whole community. Like they said, what's that saying that they use a lot? It takes a village
to raise a child.
Correct.
Couldn't agree more. The thing is, they've done studies, and they found that literacy rate is very closely tied to the likelihood that an individual is going to become a criminal, or is going to become a burden or a drain on either policing. And it's literacy rate, because guess what? The kid gets behind in first grade. He can't catch up in second. Then he starts getting angry at himself and everyone else in third, fourth grade. Then he joins the wrong group of people who fall in the same category. And then by middle school and high school, he's joined a gang. There's no way he's going to college, right? He says, this system is rigged against me. It doesn't work. And it's our fault. It's our fault. Yeah.
Some of our fans got a question.
Uh-oh.
They're wondering about the response time on the officers, because we got domestic violence, and it takes 6 to 8 hours for the officers to get from point A to B.
That's domestic. That's on the domestic violence.
Yes,
okay.
And all kinds of stuff like that, and there's a big issue with that.
Oh yeah.
So people are getting hurt. Husbands and wives fighting.
And the criminals are getting away.
Yes. Yeah. So what do we do about? We need to do something about that. What's your opinion on that?
Well, we already touched on the having more police officers to be able to respond to those calls.
And experienced officers, because an experienced officer, a rookie officer might take an hour on a call, whereas an experienced officer can provide the same quality of service in a fraction of the time. And you do that by police retention, and you do that by by making sure that the benefits are comparable to what they have in neighboring cities. Because if they have a better option, they're going to take their family and they're going to take their they're going to move somewhere else where the pay can be better for them.
So the other question was about the senior citizens, because the officers don't get to them on time.
You mean when they?
Those are the most vulnerable.
Yes.
Are they calling? Oh, you mean on crimes?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
What I mean, what are they typically calling for? I think.
When they get broken into.
Oh, broken. Yeah.
I mean, I've had those.
There's what, 4 or 5 priorities, right?
Mhm.
The dispatch office gets a call, and then they have to go and they have to put it into that category, right? I mean, if there's an active shooter, obviously that's going to take first priority. If the individual says, hey, you know what, I just came into my house and it looks like things are missing, it doesn't look like the burglar's here anymore. It looks like he's long gone. Cops are going to show up to the active shooter way before they show up to the burglarized home. So what do you do?
So we need to fill all those shoes in somehow.
Yeah, because guess what? Once they have that active shooter situation resolved, then they keep on going down the list.
And this is also where I think having active neighborhood associations.
Neighborhood watch. Yeah.
I think that's where it's going to be also key. I know in my block, my neighbor was always being targeted. She was being broken into before I moved into the city.
Okay.
So that year I was unemployed, I actually spotted trespassers on her property. I was already their block captain. Well, I was about to be their block captain. And I actually yelled at those trespassers, and I told them, you get off her property or I will call PD right now. And of course, they left. No problem with that. But then when I started working, I wasn't home when they actually broke into her house, and nobody called. Nobody messaged me. And when that happened, that's when we reactivated the neighborhood watch, and I put myself as a block cap. Well, they wanted me to be the block captain because I was bilingual, and I already knew who to contact in case of an emergency around the city. So they named me their block captain, and ever since then, she has not been broken into. Because as soon as they see somebody scoping a house, they let me know, and I can place a call to dispatch. I just need an officer to drive by, because if you drive by, you're going to deter those people that are scoping our homes. And we haven't had her house being broken into since.
But when I go out there and talk to the people, they're telling me that San Bernardino is a wild, wild west. What's your guys' opinion on that?
I don't have a shotgun yet.
Well,
I would think the wild, wild west, everybody has a gun.
Right.
I don't. I just have my voice.
Well, I don't know what they mean by
Wild, wild west.
Wild, wild west.
Anything goes.
Anything go? Well, I don't think that's the case. There's still law and order in this city. It's just that crime rate's still high. I mean, I still have faith that if I call 911 and tell them, hey, you know what, there's a guy down the street who's firing a firearm into houses or up in the sky,
Mm-hmm.
I do have the faith, and I think the cops do a really good job of ensuring that they're gonna be there. I know they're gonna be there. I live at the risk of letting everyone know exactly where I live. I live on the corner of 2nd and L Street. Across the street is the shopping center.
Superior.
And so I see La Superior. And so I see all kinds of things going on, and I call. And community policing was one of the solutions I wanted to bring up. We need cops getting involved, and guess what? The police department has done a really good job. They do the Citizens Policing Academy, which is great. But that needs to be. We need to really get it out there. We need to market that more aggressively, because people are going to call way more often to the dispatch office if they know what they got to do. Like, all right, so when you first, this is the number you call. We're going to train you on how to go through the call, because I sat down at the dispatch office, and they are very professional. They do a great job. They're super patient, but they're working like 12. They're working 12. In fact, I talked to a lady there who would work like an 18 or 20-hour shift. And she's like, yeah, it's just kind of the way it is. They get tired too, and I mean, these conversations, sometimes they take a call and the person's all over the place. So we can teach these people, all right.
Well, we're gonna go into a little break, and we got a lot of topics to go. So
We got more questions coming in.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
All right.
here we go. We're gonna go into a little break.
Danny. Oh, can I talk?
La primera vez que te vi. Oh, qué linda eres. Tu nombre yo te pregunté y tú no me volteaste a ver.
La segunda vez que te vi, yo traté de hablarte, pero solamente tú te vas sin darme una oportunidad y decir quiero amarte y mi corazón solo tuyo será y decir quiero amarte y mi corazón solo tuyo será.
La tercera vez que te vi, tú me coqueteaste y también quisiste hablarme a mí, pero solo te alejaste.
La cuarta vez que te vi, era mi última oportunidad de detenerte para que escucharas a mi corazón hablar y decir oh baby, abrázame así, más, mucho, mucho más. Así, así,
Por fin estamos juntos, corazones son como uno.
y mi corazón
Ha pasado los años nuevos
más solo tuyo
para nosotros poder gozar.
Por fin estamos juntos, tu corazón y el mío amor. Solo quiero tenerte para poderte gozar.
Yeah.
This is Danny Alcaraz, Internet City Live Radio. If you want to watch us live, just go to internetcityliveradio.com. I'm here with Theodore Sanchez, running for the first ward, and Sandra Ibarra for the second. So, what I want to talk about now is I see one business closed, three businesses closed, one business open. Is that what you guys see?
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing.
Yes, the same on my end.
So how are we going to address that? How are we going to fix that?
Businesses look for security. They want to make sure that there's a strong, robust police force, that they have a city government that's responsive, because they're measuring this out, right? They're measuring. There's a cost-benefit analysis that goes to into every business decision. And so these businesses are like, well, is the market here? If we call the police, if there's a fire, are the fire department going to show up? If I need something, if I need to talk to my local councilman, my mayor, am I going to be able to at least send a message out to him? And businesses have passed us by because we don't need your business. Don't worry about us. You guys can go somewhere else. I've heard that San Bernardino has never missed an opportunity to miss an opportunity. I don't think that's always true, but we've let businesses drive right by us and go out to Redlands and Rancho Cucamonga. And we need to change that, because these businesses come here, they add to the tax base. They add to the tax base. Guess what? That just pays for more police, better, more robust services to our city. That helps the residents. And now the residents can find more local work as opposed to driving 2 hours to Los Angeles.
Okay, so how do we make it business friendly in this city? So businesses can come down here and want to be here.
I think there's several layers that we need to touch up on. We have the panhandlers who are aggressive at outside the businesses too. You know, the clients or customers that go in, they're being harassed for a $5 bill, $10 bill. I, my focus is basics. You got to shop local to support your local businesses. Also, we have a campaign through PD also that says spare change, positive change, no spare change. So don't encourage the panhandlers. These people, they've been offered resources to find jobs or to go, somewhere else, and they refuse. For them, we had a story online not a couple years ago, I want to say in 2015, 2016 perhaps, talking to the panhandlers off of Waterman on the 210 freeway off-ramp. And one guy mentioned that in an hour he can easily collect $60. So when a panhandler gets $60 just standing outside a business or out on the off ramps of the freeways, it's not encouraging them to stop doing it. It's encouraging them. So
That's like $60 an hour, right?
And we don't have jobs that I know of here for the local people who live here that can make the $60 an hour. So we need to make it safe. We need to clean the city. We have a lot of illegal dumping happening in the alleys next to the businesses. Also, we have criminals breaking into those businesses. So it's not safe. It's not clean. It's not attractive. And I think if we focus with just the basics, we're going to have to, because the way the city's going, it's going to be challenging to recruit those beautiful jobs out here that we need. They're going to need us to sell it to them, and what way to sell it than to maintain it safe and clean out here.
Theodore?
Same thing. Case study, or case in point, we had the Auto Club, AAA. They were here for 100 years. They had their office down on D Street. They closed shop because they said, hey, in the morning when they come in to open up, there's usually a homeless person who's hunkered next to the main entrance.
Right.
Because if it's winter time, they usually they had the heating running so they could get that seeping heat from the main entrance. So they'd camp there. Morning comes by, people come in to try to open up the business, and they couldn't. And they'd call the police. Police wouldn't show up. And I've heard that the local council person said, no, that's not true. That's not happening. It's not true. So first of all, we have to admit that there's a problem. And there are people out there who won't admit that there's a problem. And so back to what I was saying, that AAA said, we've had enough. We can't do business here anymore.
Yeah, actually, there's quite a few businesses
that suffer from that same issue, right? You
right.
see it. I mean, you can drive down early in the morning and you'll see them camped out right by the door, because in the summers, they keep the air conditioning running inside these buildings, so it's seeping out cold air. So these guys hunker right next to those doors, and then guess what? 8 o'clock in the morning, they come to open up shop and they can't. You need stability. And it's going to be done through an approach that says we have to put our businesses and our residents first. And look, and I'm going to tell you that these people are suffering from a social disease, and part of it is that they don't have work. They have a mental illness that sometimes is a result of drug use, sometimes it's not. But regardless, it's a disease, and we don't usually criminalize diseases. What we need to do is we need to remedy this problem. I talked to someone about this the other day. In the Middle East, and there was some Muslim country in the Middle East had a high literacy rate, high graduation rate from universities. I mean, this was a very highly educated population, and usually say, "Oh, that's the solution. That fixes problems, right? There's less violence. There's supposed to be less poverty," and people. It was a country that was exporting more jihadists and terrorists than any other country in the region. So what's happening? The unemployment rate was super high, because when someone doesn't have a job, an idle mind and an idle person can really create problems. These people, when they don't have a reason to get up in the morning, I'm going to shower, I'm going to clean up, make breakfast, make lunch for myself, go to work, come back home, be able to spend that money. It affects their minds. I mean, it really is a pride thing that people, I don't have a job, I don't have anything. You know what? Then they start to feel entitled. They feel that they can go down to that corner liquor store and just grab what they want. Like, what? What are you going to do?
Okay, I'm going to
Can
go
I-
outside the box.
Can I keep adding on the businesses?
Sure.
Though? I have one more.
Sure.
So I used to work at an outdoor swap meet in Costa Mesa. And there's something that the city needs to do also for attracting new businesses. Maybe somebody who wants to start their own business, they don't know what to do, where to go.
Mm-hmm.
And I've mentioned this to our former economic development director that we had. And I've told him, it's like, it would be beneficial to us and to future business owners to have a list, a breakdown of contacts, of steps on how to open their business. We've had some that, regardless of how our city is, they still want to come into our city and help us by opening shop, but they face so much red tape. There's some that have to pay licenses.
How'd you know what I
permits.
was going to talk about?
Oh, I didn't know. We were talking about the businesses, so
Yeah.
this is what I've
You got the script?
encountered with the ones that I've spoken to. Perfect example was Mimi's Donuts off of University.
Mhm.
I talked to the gentleman, and for him, it took him 5 months before he could open his doors.
So it's called the planning department getting your CUP, conditional land use permit, or CUP.
CUP.
Yeah. Okay. So they pay the $2,500 and they open up a new business, and then they go through all the red tape, and after a while they just give up.
Correct.
So out of the box, what I was talking about, what I'm thinking, because I've been here 30 plus years or whatever, and now. So when you go through that, if we found a way to give them incentive, like the 7-Elevens that came here and they wanted to come in, and then it was too much, so they left. So if we gave them some kind of incentive at the planning department, make it easier, that would create more jobs. Wouldn't you agree?
Correct.
Yes, I agree.
So we need to deal with that kind of issue.
Uh-huh.
And
the
that falls on the hands of our city manager. She oversees those departments.
Okay, so like Brown did away with redevelopment. So legally, if it could be legally, if the city could turn around and have some kind of fund where we could put the money in there and call it SBA redevelopment, whatever you want to call it, and to help the people out and lend them money to create new businesses, mom and pop stores and all that kind of stuff. Do you think that we would have a chance of doing something like that and making our city prosper?
You can probably do it as a special tax, because right now what's surfacing is a lot of these fees that the businesses are paying, they're being shuffled back into the general fund because of the way the tax was written. It wasn't legally, it wasn't a special tax, that it was just for that purpose. And I think there was, I'm trying to remember what the name of that one was, but it's a fee that the businesses were paying towards improving their appearance, and that money was taken recently in March or April, and it was brought back into the general fund. And once that money's in the general fund, it can be used as the city pleases, whether it's hiring the consultants, whether it's having events for the city or not have events, or improving the city infrastructure. If we put it to the voters as a special tax, I think it could be doable. Also, maybe they can create also a fund, like you mentioned, and have all the businesses who want to come in invest into it. The community can invest into it, and we can offer that to the mom and pop shops that want to open up.
Theodore?
That'd be a good idea.
Yeah, you know what? I can't justify increasing or having tax dollars that everyone puts into going to particular businesses. We're already a pretty high tax city. They need to go to the basic services. We need to take care of that first. But we do bring in businesses by, guess what? Being a very responsive department. That planning department needs to be more responsive. Sometimes they make phone calls, nothing happens. There's so much red tape. that needs to be streamlined. You need to have a streamlined permitting system, because that's a lot of the businesses who are willing to open up shop here. They're not leaving because they don't think, well, I don't have the money. They're leaving because they get frustrated.
Right.
My dad.
That's the bottom line right there.
My dad built houses here, and guess
Mhm.
what? That whole first 3 months are just spent dealing with the planning department, and then the fees. But guess what? The fees can be paid. These businesses have the money. What they're sick and tired of is how long it takes them to get everything through. I talked to some developers, and they said they have projects that are ready, funded, everything's ready to go. They've been green lighted by everyone in their company and their departments, but the city won't. The city's been taking years to resolve the issues.
Yeah, the city moves like a turtle.
So that's what you resolve? No, because I can't justify having money that can go to pay for more cops or the fire department being spent on a private business, a private enterprise that's in business to make a profit for a particular individual.
But Ted, not all the small businesses can save up that much money. Mimi's Donuts was a perfect example. The gentleman told me that he actually had money saved up. Had he not saved up that money, he would have not even opened his doors because of all the time he was paying for a lease without even opening shop for 5 months. So he said, for me financially, I was able to save up without even realizing I was going to wait 5 months before I opened shop.
Yeah.
And when we're talking about trying to encourage people to open up their first shop, for example, they have their entrepreneur spirit in them, they may not count with that money. And if people want to give into that fund, I would highly encourage it. I mean, that would be an idea. But yeah, I understand where you're coming from. But we have those small businesses that we would like to encourage. And when I worked at the Orange County Marketplace, that's what we focused on. A lot of people they had an idea of something they wanted to offer. So we gave them the breakdown. Okay, these are the steps. These are the fees to open your shop. You pay up for all of that. You're good. You can open shop here at the marketplace for the weekends. And it was beautiful. I was there for 11 years. That I was able to see some of them when they were just getting started with little money to actually have an enterprise within 5 years, 3 years. And they open up their own specific shops where they live. So it's something we have to create a pathway for those small businesses somehow. That's my perspective on it.
Years ago when I went to redevelopment, they helped me out, but I went through a lot of hoops to be in business. And redevelopment really helped me out. So it works. So we need something like that. I don't know what, but just out of the box. We need something like that to make San Bernardino All-American City once again, like it used to be.
Yeah.
That's my
Yes,
main.
sir. We all want it. We all
Yeah.
want it to become the All-American City again.
Yes.
People are they have that nostalgia and they're thinking, wow, back in the 60s.
Yeah, the
Back in the
transformation was
70s.
pretty quick. So I talked to plenty of people who were alive and living in their prime when the city in 1975, when the city was very proud. Well, it's still a very proud city, but it was a city that was in much better shape than it is right now. So they talked to me about those days, and usually you don't see things like that. Usually people are me. I was born in I guess my earliest memories of the city were in the 90s, and there was already slowing down. So my only memories of the city were a city that was failing the residents. So I mean, it's happened in just one lifetime, but just as quickly as we've had this downturn, we can pick it right back up. I mean, there's cities in California that have had amazing turnarounds, and we can do the same. And so it's a disease of the mind to think that, oh no, it's impossible, we can't do anything. We can turn this city around in one lifetime. I mean, I could be an old gentleman who says, oh yeah, look, I'm very proud. Well, I am proud of being from San Bernardino, but the reputation will have to be different. Oh, San Bernardino, very shiny, clean city, clean, safe city. We can do it in one lifetime, and that's why I'm running. I mean, I wouldn't be walking from 11 in the morning to 7 at night if I didn't think that was possible.
Well, being a candidate for city council sure ain't the paycheck. So it ain't very much.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not
no,
very
and I've
much.
been. That's the thing. I've been accused of, you're doing it for the money. Well,
There ain't no money there.
I'm like, well, all right, well.
14,000, I think. That's what
Is
they're
that where
going
we're
to
at now?
offer.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what they're going to offer
Well, it's
to
still
us.
$50 right now, ain't it?
Right now, yes.
50
And
bucks.
$50. I mean, so I've spent plenty of time talking about how the leadership at City Hall has failed us at some level, but you have to give him a little bit of respect because Teddy Roosevelt, what his famous quote, that the man in the arena, everyone who's watching can say what they want, but the man bleeding and fighting in the sand, they put their neck out there, and I'm doing the same right now. So there'll be plenty of people who don't like me or like what I do, but I'm out here walking, braving the the dogs who have chased me in the neighborhoods and the weather, and I've done it because I have belief in myself and I have belief in my city.
So, shall we look back at all our mistakes so we can fix our mistakes, or shall we just move forward?
No, and the official approach has been to look back at our mistakes. I know that. So I interned for the city manager's office just for one summer when I was in college, and they had done a study. They had some consultants come in, and they did a case study comparing Riverside, the city of Riverside, to the city of San Bernardino. So you had two cities very similar, right? They had military bases that either closed down or reduced in size. You had same demographics, same population, same square mileage roughly. And one city went through a renaissance, and another city, suffered and is suffering now from a bad reputation. And so we look back. Well, where did we make the wrong turns?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the key points there is that they pumped energy and resources into revitalizing downtown. They did. You go down on what are the main streets there? Mission, University,
Main?
No, Main.
Uh-huh.
But
downtown Riverside.
Downtown Riverside, out there where the Mission Inn is, and it looks good. And guess what? A lot of it is reputation. A lot of it is what people think of your city. I mean, look at what's our main street. Our main street is 2nd Street. We have a defunct mall. We have a high rise that's vacant. It's been vacant for how long? 10 years.
Other main streets are Baseline, Highland.
But the thing is, guess what? People who come in through this city, a lot of them who are county workers, a lot of people who are heading over to the airport, a lot of people who need to come into the city who are just doing official business. They come into the city and they see that, and then
They want to get out of here.
yeah. So, I mean, we need to fix those.
They're scared to come over here. Bottom line.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta fix the arteries in the city. That's 2nd Street. That's Highland. That's Baseline. That's Mount Vernon. Waterman. You fix those streets, and guess what? The reputation starts to change.
Which include Mount Vernon.
And Mount Vernon, and it'll start to leak. It'll start to leak in because these cities. The city's traversed with these arteries, and when you make those shiny, clean, prosperous places, they're gonna start to leak into the neighborhoods. They're gonna start to leak into the neighborhoods and to the rest of the city. You gotta make inroads, and you make inroads through fixing those streets, because you have a lot of people who aren't from the city who drive those streets because they have some business to conduct here in the city. And when they see that, they're like, you know what, San Bernardino isn't as bad as I thought. Yeah.
My next question is the Carousel Mall. What are we doing with the Carousel Mall? Does anybody know the truth? They say this, they say that.
I don't know the truth. I'll start with that.
It's currently boarded up. All the little businesses we had there, they had to relocate. So we lost businesses there. My understanding is that we're doing a theater square, that whole area. We don't know.
They told me they were going to build...
like a mixed use?
Yeah, mixed use.
Well, that'd be the ideal thing. We can have bachelor pads or student housing there, or even for our senior citizens who want to downsize to a one-bedroom apartment. How great would it be for them to just go downstairs and get their little coffee, or get their roses they need for the day and decorate their home, their little place. We have the SBX bus stop there. We have, and that bus stop connects to Loma Linda University and Cal State San Bernardino. Sorry, Orange County. Those students can easily just take the bus to downtown, and they're at home. They don't have to live around the school if they can't, find something affordable. I don't know how the pricing is up there, but Cal State San Bernardino, that area, it's a pretty nice area still. And I'm a college student, I'm an alumni, and I lived off campus myself. I walked. I made my way. There was no buses for me. But when I commuted, though, from Santa Ana to UCLA, I parked on Santa Monica Boulevard, and from there I took the bus to school. So, we got a mixed use would be an ideal thing for downtown. Revive it. We were talking about the people who conduct business in the city, even city employees who don't live here. Once it's 5 p.m. and they're off the clock, they head on out. The businesses in downtown, the few that we have, they close shop at 5. They don't have the people, the population in that area to sustain their business for them to stay open, and they're fearful for their life. Like, we're closing shop before they come and break into our business. So
I had a friend.
I don't know, mixed use. Let's see what happens.
I had a friend on air yesterday that he said the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I think he called it the mausoleum, something like that. Mausoleum.
What?
Downtown.
Oh.
That is dead.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Well,
Route 66 was yesterday. I was there. At Route 66.
Was that yesterday? Okay. Yeah. So I was there. I actually picked out a car as a
you
winner
did?
for.
Oh.
Yeah. So.
Good stuff.
But yeah, you have all these city employees, county employees who have nowhere to eat there for their lunch, and they go out to Hospitality Lane. How nice would it be if they can open up a couple really nice restaurants in the downtown area, and have people eat there? Like I said, you have so many people who have to come into this city to conduct business in the downtown area, and they take 2nd Street, they take all these streets in the downtown area. It looks bad. They conduct their business in whatever building it is, and then they take 2nd Street back to the 215 freeway, and they get out of here. So that's an impression that's the impression they have of the city, is that 2nd Street. And the first thing you see when you get off on 2nd Street is a vacant lot on the right side, or on the left side if you're coming if you're southbound. But regardless, there's a vacant lot right there, just with weeded.
Welcome to San Bernardino.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
Yeah, you gotta fix these things, because you're not gonna fix it by making the city website prettier, or by changing the city's seal or logo. You're gonna fix it by cleaning a couple of these places up and having people feel like they're in a safe city.
Okay, we're gonna go outside the box again.
Nice.
So
No, that's where I'm living here right now.
No, we're inside a box.
I want to ask the candidates, when you win, you go up on that diocese, and you got 7 council, 1 mayor. How are you going to, when everybody's bickering, what resolution or what ordinance or whatever they're going to pass, section whatever, how are you going to communicate with your fellow members and make our city better?
You go first.
Yeah, sure. So when it comes down to it,
You know what I mean by the bickering, right? When
Yeah, we've seen some bicker out there.
we've seen plenty.
They
of bickering.
throw tantrums even.
Yeah.
I've seen
so
them.
that's a big problem.
Yeah.
So how are we going to fix that?
So a lot of us have the same goals, right? We want to make the city a better place. So that's the end goal. But how we go about doing that is where the contention begins, and you just have to make a really good case, explaining to them, if we do this, this is how we get one step closer to improving the city. That's why you can't just have anyone come off the street and run for city council. You're going to need someone who has good ideas, who can explain themselves, who can be thorough in their explanation. That's why I think there's plenty of people here. I'm going to say it, Sandra. Sandra can explain herself, because if you can't explain an idea, you're not going to be able to to convey that idea to the residents you're trying to represent. You can't convey that to your other peers on the council, because it's all about communication. You gotta explain to them, hey, look, this is the issue, right? And we're having a difference right here. But here, just follow me here for a second, and you take them down. You explain to them, because if we reach out and offer them an explanation and make the case that we're in this together, let's help. Because if one guy refuses to work with the other one and the council fails, I mean, we all look bad. So you got to make that case, and you got to be able to talk. That's a strength that I think Sandra has. It's a strength that I think that some of the candidates have here. So I'm excited. I think San Bernardino is going to have a good new generation of leadership that's going to be able to work together.
And on my end, I think this is where we need a strong mayor to stop the bickering. There's rules to be followed once you're an elected official. There's ways to behave when you're up on the dais. And for those who throw the tantrums or are yelling across to each other, the mayor needs to be able to silence, order in the court,
Yeah.
Make sure that everything flows fine in there. We are, as educated individuals that we are, we know how to carry a conversation, and we allow for agreements and disagreements to happen. We just have to be up there with an open mind. Once you start throwing tantrums, arguing out of line, speaking out of line, it does not make you look professional. Mm-hmm. So when you're up there, you have to try to be the most professional. Like Ted mentioned, when you express the ideas that you have to say it in a way that they will understand where you're coming from, where your community is coming from. On my end, I want to have the open door policy. So if a project is in the wraps of happening, I want to be able to allow the developers to come into the table, and I want the community to come to the table, and each of them discuss their concerns, how we can all collaborate and come up with a win-win, so that when we get to the dais, we're not arguing. We're formulating a good argument so that all our council members can see the vision that we have for why we're voting the way we are. So I mean, that's where I come in.
Very good.
On that one quick note, I want to explain myself. So I'm taking a more casual approach to this whole thing, because I think, and I mentioned this off air, this is a great opportunity. This is a great venue for a long-form conversation, a more relaxed conversation. There's times to be formal, and there's times to just explain yourself in a more casual setting. Because people need to know who we are when we're not wearing the tie and the suit. And
be people.
Be people, because that's it's partially why people don't vote. They're like, we're not voting for people, we're voting for robots over here who are reading a script. And what I'm hoping is that people are going to watch this and be like, you know what, I like this guy, I like what he has to say, and the way he's thinking. Because there's very few times when someone watches a formal forum and thinks this guy's, what he's saying is what he's thinking in his head. Many times people think this is just scripted. They put something together. They got the questions beforehand, and they're just going through. They're reading the script. They're just a speaker. And I want to take this opportunity, and I want to thank you, Danny, before.
Oh, you're welcome.
That this is a great option for us, and we need to do this more often. I was talking to Sandra. We need to do this. Make an edition that's not political. That we just get to know your candidate episode. Well, what do you?
That's where the neighborhood associations come in, the community meetings.
Yeah.
See, that's what I want to keep doing where I live.
Yeah.
I want to help people reactivate. I know baseline through 9th, that's been inactive. Like, we gotta get a leader in there.
Mhm.
And when I walk, I'm actually talking to them about starting their neighborhood watch and reactivating the neighborhood association. And I'm glad, I'm happy that we're finally getting the Paris Hill Park Neighborhood Association reactivated, because when they had it, they were very unified in that section of town, and I'm just looking forward to all the fun things they can do with their neighbors. So yeah, I would be a more community oriented person. I'll be out there talking to them and hearing their concerns and get their feedback.
Yeah, so. Yeah. I'm a neighborhood association president right now, and It's important because if people don't feel like they're connected to their representatives, that's when they stop voting. They're like, I don't even know who that is. Who's my councilman? I get that.
Does
I
he
get
live
that.
there?
Yeah,
Does he
yeah.
live
That's
here?
what that's what I get. I get. Like, are you my councilman? I'm like, no, not yet, not yet. But people don't know their councilman, and the council person in my district has been on there for 8 years, and people don't know who their council person is. That's why people don't vote, because they're like, I don't
We're
care.
going to go to another break, and we'll be right back. We're going to talk about cannabis next.
Oh.
Hey, good music, Danny.
Thank you. We are back with Internet City Live.
Hi.
Okay,
Good
so
evening.
let's before we go into the cannabis, I want to talk about our city hall.
The vacant building,
Yeah, the one we used to go to all the
the
time.
beautiful one.
Yeah.
Beautiful one. So then we moved into the redevelopment, basically. So what's your opinion on that move?
Well, I mean, it's. I'm not sure it's up. Sandra, I interrupted. Go ahead.
That's okay. Well, for those who don't know, the city hall was vacated with the decision of the city manager that was in place at one point. So One earthquake scared them, and they decided to close it down. Pretty much, that's the gist of it. You know, they've had people, you know, take a look at the safety of that building. They said it wasn't safe for an earthquake, but here we are, 2 years after they closed it, and it's still standing.
So,
So that's
so well, San Bernardino actually owns that, right? So we got to pay rent at this redevelopment. So that's more money being wasted, ain't it? So
correct.
To speak?
Yeah, because they moved every single department into different buildings. 290 North D Street, the Veneer building.
Mhm.
We got the redevelopment building. We have also across the street on D, not sure what, D and Second, there's another building where we have other offices. The city clerk's office is there. So they're wasting money by leasing other offices when they had, like you mentioned,
Mhm.
a building that was all paid for already by the city.
Okay.
You know, wasteful
You know,
waste management.
so I'm not an engineer, so I have to leave it to the professionals. If the professionals are saying that the building is not safe, I'm going to take their word for it. I'm not going to be one of those. Well, I hope nobody here is a flat earther, but I'm not going to be a flat earther. I'm going to leave it to the people who know what they're doing. And if they say it's not safe and that we can't be in that building, then I'm going to believe that. But it is really, really tough because guess what? You're right. We're paying a fat bill every month to rent out other space, and we're a city that's trying to budget, or we are on a budget, and there needs to be a permanent solution. Either we need to
Retrofitted?
we need to retrofit that building, or we need to build something new. But this just permanently, on a permanent basis, just renting out, I don't like this idea.
Mhm.
And we look like we're a struggling city when we're like this. I mean, look at the diaspora. City clerks in one building, the
Planning
council,
is a
planning.
different.
They're all over the place. It does not look good. It's
It
important.
looks unprofessional, basically.
Yeah, no, it looks like we're a struggling city. And even
Yeah.
if we weren't, I mean, it looks like we're refugees.
Mhm.
We're everywhere. I mean, I'll tell you, there was walking when I was a kid. I remember walking because you used to pay your water bill on the second or third floor of the city hall building. I remember as a kid coming in there, not being intimidated, but awe and inspired. I thought, this is our city. Like, this
Mhm.
is a physical embodiment of our city. And you look at it, beautiful, modern looking, and looking at that statue of Martin Luther King, and that waterfall, that little waterfall. It painted itself as a city, a prosperous city, a city with the right principles. And now when you have these very lackluster looking buildings, just kind of, and the departments, the various departments in different buildings, it doesn't look good for us. And you know, they always talk, the consultants talk about how we have to change the image of the city. This is a big factor. The physical appearance of City Hall is a huge factor.
Well, the way I can describe City Hall and what happened is we're a fragmented city. You know, by separating everybody, we're not united.
Mm-hmm.
City services should be in one central location and not dispersed the way it is. That's, for me, that's very symbolic. If anybody doesn't see it the way I do, that's how I'm seeing it. We're fragmented. As a city, we're not united yet, and we're gonna fall through the cracks. So that's how I see it.
As we're going right now, well, the elections, so it kind of seems like to me that they're saying that we're out of bankruptcy. Yeah, okay, but could we fade right back into the bankruptcy?
I think we are heading that way.
If we don't change things.
Correct. And I think we are heading that way. I know in June we laid off several city employees, and recently they eliminated another high-ranking position. And when these things are happening, you have to question yourself: why are these employees being let go? What are they trying to budget? And you know, they let go of a communications director. They hired a consultant to brand our city. They signed our contract back in April for $260,000 for 18 months worth of branding.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are, say maybe like 2 council meetings away, we had them back at the dais asking for an additional 160,000 for them, totaling about 440,000 that the city's paying this consultant to brand our city. The branding is going to come from the community, and this consultant is only focused on the north end of town. That's who they are passing out surveys to and doing surveys to. The north end of town is not going to give the proper branding without the feedback from the other areas of town. They had an online survey. I filled it out. I shared it with my neighbors. I told them fill it out. It's bilingual, Spanish and English. So give them your 2 cents of how you see the city going. But that's something the city should have been doing for years. And it took them to hire a consultant to pay all those $100,000 to do what the city should have been doing already on their own.
So basically what you're saying is we need more business people in there that know how to shuffle the money around, basically.
Well, that's what they're doing right now. They're shuffling the money. They're letting go of city employees, and they're saying, oh, well, now we have this money, and we can give this money to this consultant who's only going to be with us for a year. It's like that. To me, I was like, no, what happened to having city employees? If you're letting go employees, whether if it's because of their performance, show me that they had poor performance. Don't be laying off employees because they're on your negative list just because you don't like them or you don't see eye to eye on certain aspects and you don't want to hear them. If some of these we've let go employees who deeply care about the city, and it's heartbreaking. And when they're hiring consultants and giving what would have been their salary to these consultants, who, maybe they do live in the city, maybe they don't, I don't know. A lot of these are from out of town. It's heartbreaking. These are people who actually care about the city who have been let go.
Ed?
There goes a pride.
I think a lot of it is, I think we could head back over into bankruptcy. And
well, they're trying to outsource the animal shelter. What does that say?
Yeah.
They can't even hire more staff.
They're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. What they're trying to do is they're trying to save money, but they're reducing services to a point where we might as well be in bankruptcy, and the cities are crumbling. They'll reduce the police force if they have to. They'll do everything in order to make sure that the books are balanced, and the city's not going to be providing any services, and they're not willing to pay that extra dollar in order to provide the services necessary to make the city look like it's a robust city. So,
well, as council people, we can actually review the budgeting. We can see how the money's being spent. I don't know if you ever got a chance to look at the agenda, but you get to see how the city's spending the money.
Yeah.
And then you can question it. When I was unemployed, I had to live within my means to make sure that I survived, that I had food at the table, and that I could keep my home. That I had to make sacrifices. Any luxury, going out, having dinner, I had to cut it out. I had to make my own dinners at home. And if the city has to do that, live within their own means, I think we have an opportunity to stay out of bankruptcy. But the way they're going, they probably don't even have a grasp on how they're spending that money right now. If they're thinking of outsourcing more departments, then that should speak volumes to the people who are about to vote in November. It's like you are being misled, being told that there's surplus in the budget, but question yourself when they're laying off the employees and how they're hiring the consultants. They're not budgeting properly, and that's where I want to come in and look at that budget. It's like you don't tell me that you have a surplus when the street lights are not getting fixed, when the broken sidewalks are not being fixed.
$30 million.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I've reported broken sidewalks. They close out the CRMs. When I do on-go requests, they say it's been handled. No, I'm walking again, and the sidewalks are still broken. Nobody did anything. Nobody's overseeing this. And I know at the council, I've told the city manager, somebody should double-check the CRMs because they're being closed down and the work is not getting done. We've reported sections where the curbs are not safe, and they get closed down too. So it's a matter of safety, and it's a matter of giving getting things, fixing the infrastructure of the city, and it's not getting done. And this is something that I told the city manager. We need somebody in your office to confirm that this is getting done, and if it's not getting done, respond why it's not getting done. So
Good.
that's.
Ted?
Sorry, Ted. Go.
No. So it's become a talking point. The $30 million surplus has become a political campaigning talking point. Oh, I'm the right leader for the city because when I became when I came in to run the city, this is the deficit we're in, and now look at us. Now we're at a $30 million surplus. So for a lot of people, they do the math and they're like, oh, yeah, you know what? That's great. He's doing the right thing. That $30 million is being hoarded for a political talking point. Because look at our streets aren't. You know how much $30 million could do? How much good that can do in our city streets? And I understand that fixes are very expensive. But $30 million goes a long way, and it's being hoarded as a political talking point. It's going to get a lot of people angry at me, but I think it has to be said. You can't. There's some streets here that are almost dirt roads.
Well, I would just
And
tell the
street,
voters.
and the street won't vote for. I mean, and the city won't spend the money, and they won't spend the money because that takes away from our $30 million surplus. Oh, it's not the right thing to do.
Is that money a public record?
It should be. You can request it to the city clerk. Maybe ask for the financials that shows the 30 million surplus.
Does it show where it's going or any of that?
Well, it's not going anywhere. It's sitting there.
I'm
It's sitting there.
hearing different stories. I was told, I had heard somewhere that that's money that's allocated toward the water department surplus that they had back in 2015, 2016. They did rate increases on sewer and water.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be that money. That money was actually slated to fix the infrastructure of the sewage and the water, the plumbing under the underground. And if that's the case, say it as it is. Don't say it's a surplus when you know that money is going to go towards fixing the infrastructure.
Yeah, then that wouldn't count as a surplus. That counts as an obligation, an unpaid obligation.
Yeah, well, when they raised the rates, that's what they said. We're going to raise the rates because we have to fix the sewer and we have to fix the plumbing. That was a selling point for them increasing their
The rates.
the rates.
So where did Botello sit? Did he sit here at this? Danny, did Botello sit at this microphone?
Yes.
Okay, because it smells like beer on the microphone. I'm just kidding.
yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Okay, cannabis.
Why are you smelling the microphones?
Cannabis. Do you believe that that's going to be the savior of San Bernardino as far as financially?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. When you do the math, and I don't know the exact numbers, but when you do the math, we're a city with a $200 million budget.
Ted, we had professionals do the math, and they said it is.
No, I don't. Well,
See,
I'm
this is
going to
what
go back. I'm
happens.
going to go back on
This
what
is
I'm
what
saying.
happens when you want to trust a professional.
Well,
So you take their word for it, you know.
Well, I'm of the opinion that it's just another industry. They can come into the city and make money, but they need to be a legitimate business. If they act like a legitimate business, then they need to be treated like it. But until then, I don't like it. I mean, I've seen so many of these dispensaries who are, the conditions of the building are in deplorable shape. I mean, they look disgusting.
Well, not only
And they
that,
don't
but they're
care.
they open up illegally too.
Yeah,
They don't have
they're opening
water
up illegally.
service.
I mean, the conditions are deplorable, and they're opening up in people's neighborhoods. They're opening up in people's neighborhoods, and they don't care, because they're not invested in this neighborhood. As long as they're making money, they're fine with it. But guess what? If they're following the laws, they're a clean business. They're reinvesting in the community, and I'm fine with that. I'm fine
Okay,
with it.
so what about the 1 and 5s and 10s that are going to make it abusive and in turn,
What was that?
The 1s, 5s, and 10s, like the dollar bills.
no, the 1s and 2s and 3s of human beings that make it abusive, they turn it into whatever they mix it with or whatever they do.
You're
And
talking
it-
about the black market then.
Yeah, and basically crime, basically.
Well, then it's a crime. I'm of the opinion that it's a crime, and
So
they need to
we're
be.
trying to regulate it.
It needs to be regulated. Yeah.
Yes, and then make it legal to help people of the sickness and that's my understanding. So, but there's going to be those 1, 5s, and 10s that turn something good into negative.
Yeah,
Basically.
yeah,
Is
yeah,
what I'm
and
trying
they
to
need
say.
to, and they need to be dealt with. I mean, when you have a restaurant that's non-compliant, they'll close it. They close the restaurant. You do the same thing with these dispensaries. I mean, the product is helpful to some people.
Well, I can go back to what I said at the candidate forum. We need to treat them like a regular business. Don't overtax them either. And it'd be an incentive for the city to try to get as much money, knowing that there's people that want to open dispensaries.
Mm-hmm.
But at a certain point, that's going to become abusive, and these businesses are going to end up leaving, and
That's
resulting in the
yeah,
black market
that's-
instead.
That's exactly what I mean. So
Yeah.
I was wondering how we gonna tax that, franchise it, or how are we gonna do that to get tax dollars for the city? How are we gonna do that?
Like a business, treat it like a business.
Uh-huh.
Make sure that they have their proper licenses, the proper permits, and they follow through. That's it. I mean, it is a business, but it's also. I mean, there's. I've been to Seattle, Washington, and they have dispensaries there, but you can't see them the way they're set up. They're like boutiques. They're boutiques, but they're there legally. They pay their fines. They have their permits. They're open like any normal shop. We would rather have that than the black market ones that are open up illegally in our neighborhoods and office buildings without the proper ventilation or lighting. Buildings light up, when there's no proper air conditioning going on. No, we need to treat them as a business, and
So you're in favor of having cannabis?
I'm in favor as long as the community is in favor. So I know, I want to say in maybe a year ago, our council member had a town hall for the cannabis community.
Mm-hmm.
And I went there. You can hear all the property owners of cannabis or business owners talking about, what they would want. Finally, I raised my hand. It's like, it's not only what you want. You can't open shop in the middle of two schools knowing that there's kids that are going to walk by. You have to get the feedback. If there's a way that maybe the people in the neighborhood will welcome it, but you have to have that conversation with them. Make it safe for their children, for their properties, and the city as a whole. It's not just what you want, it's what's going to happen with the community as well. So be open, listen to our concerns. I actually, Neighborhood Housing Services, we had an office on D Street. We had a dispensary open up on D Street in one of those office buildings. And there was, it seemed that the security guard was chasing somebody that may have, tried to break in there. And 2 of those bullets went into our offices.
Oh.
Had my coworker been there another half hour, one of those bullets would have hit him behind his head. So we have to make sure that they make our neighborhood safe, that they don't put us at risk. And how they're going to do it, that's something that they would need to work it out on their end too.
That's exactly what I was talking about. The 1, 5s, and 10s are going to make it abusive with that kind of stuff.
Correct.
And that's what I'm kind of concerned about when it comes to that. I'm okay with it, but I'm concerned about the violence that it can bring,
Yeah.
and somebody's going to abuse it sooner or later.
Correct.
And that's what I'm thinking.
I mean, are you going to get the same violence at a liquor store or at any
Correct.
other shop? So this idea that this is a devil drug. I've never smoked marijuana in my life, but I don't see I don't see it as an inherently evil or bad.
It's a plant.
Yeah, I don't see it as an inherently evil activity. People can do it. I'm not going to judge them, but as long as your activity is not going to be negatively or adversely affecting everyone else in your community, I'm going to be fine with it. But if it does, we need to drop the hammer down just like we would any other
Shut 'em down.
nuisance or criminal activity. All right, so that's what the dispensaries and these people in the marijuana industry need to realize, that most people do not care what you do in your own house, in the privacy of your own home. It's when that business starts to adversely affect the neighbors and the rest of that neighborhood that people really get upset with it, because it's like, yeah, it's not something I do, but now their business is in my face. My parents lived next door to some people who smoked, and at nights and in the summers they would open up the windows, let the cool breeze in, and it was literally plumes of marijuana smoke coming into their bedroom as they're trying to sleep. And they couldn't do anything about it, really. I mean, there's laws on the books right now in the state of California. What's permissible, what activities are permissible, and I'm telling you, that is not allowed. Plumes of smoke to be going into someone else's bedroom as they're trying to sleep. So there's laws in place that we need to enforce.
Okay. So we're almost out of time. So name 10 ideas or 10 items what you think we need to fix in this city. 10 major ideas, major problems to fix.
Ideas or problems?
Either or.
'Cause we got a lot of problems.
Yes.
But I also have ideas. I would like to share my ideas.
How about mix?
Mix?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, for me, my focus is on public safety, community engagement, and beautification. So there's 3 things that I want to work on. We have the problem of crime. And I already mentioned here, I want to encourage people to step up to the plate in their blocks to become neighborhood watch block captains.
Okay.
Once they become block captains, I can train them, or even our PD can train them on how to talk to our dispatch, get things taken care of. If things don't get taken care of, they can talk to me as a councilwoman, and I can bring it back to the table with our chief of police in that case. So safety is the number one. We have the problem, and I have that solution. That's starting grassroots. The second one, community engagement. And that is being out in the community, talking, having a one-on-one, heart-to-heart conversation with the people who you are representing. Hear their concerns, whether it's going to the neighborhood association meetings or going to the school parent meetings or even talking to the school principals. That's what the community engagement I want to focus on. So there's that disconnect between the city officials and the people who live here. And I want to help make that connection by being present. The third one that I talked about was the beautification aspect. I actually want to start up the no littering program, whether it's just in my block or my neighborhood. It's a start, but I'm hoping that it grows even bigger. We have the cleanup crew that does it every Sunday, but at the end of the day, we have to make sure that the parents are also encouraging their children and the parents of keeping San Bernardino clean and beautiful, that they don't just toss their trash onto the side of the street or on our properties, that they hold on to it, and when they find the trash can, throw it in the trash can. If they can recycle, I mean, I'm that person that grew up with I don't know if people want to laugh at me, but Captain Planet, and I grew up with reduce, reuse, recycle. I know when I was at Orange Coast College in Costa Mesa, when I was in student body, we actually did a recycling program out there, and that's funny that if we have our neighborhood, if we collect our own recyclables and change them for money, we can turn that money around and bring it back into the community with barbecues in our neighborhoods. The neighbors get to talk to each other, share with each other, their ideas. Problems, we mentioned about the budgeting in the city. I want to make sure that the city is living within their own means, that they're not overspending.
Okay.
The police, the response from our police, one of the ideas was to hire more police officers, but with the same token, it'd be great to encourage more people in the community to go to those academies, police academies, so they see how the police department is functioning and where we can help out as a community, because there's a lot of criminals that are getting away with crime and people aren't speaking up. They're afraid of retaliation. We need to build that trust again with our community and our police. So that can help out with PD, with not having proper responses. Another problem, I want to revitalize, open up back downtown. And my thing is, if we have assigned specific developer to work on that area and they haven't done anything in 6 months, then maybe they weren't the qualified ones. Maybe we need to search for another developer and give them the opportunity to come in. I would like to review portfolios before approving developers. I want to see what they've done, what cities, and what they've transformed and what's become as a council person. So if we don't have downtown opening up for business, it's a fragmented city. It's separating all of us. For me, downtown is the heart of the city. A great revitalization project that happened in Santa Ana, where I came from, was an artist village in downtown. And when you walk out there, you have young entrepreneurs that are chefs. You know, they come out here and they open their little shop. Mm-hmm. On top of them, they have the lofts. They have, I'm trying to think if it's 4th Street or 3rd maybe. But on Friday nights, they have jazz playing. They have artistic displays. And it's something that, you know, we can definitely, you know, get to, you know, do out here in downtown. You know, open up a market, a farmer's market at nighttime. You know, welcome people to come out and get some healthy fresh vegetables and fruits.
That sounds
so what
good.
else? Yeah, no, and the other idea I want to do is how we attract outside people to come into our city to invest, to become homeowners or even business owners. You know, you go to this nice cities, and they, at the freeway entrances and exits, the arteries, they have decorations in their major streets. When it's Christmas time, when it's Veterans Day, they have the banners, military banners.
They look real nice.
It'd be nice to have something that is welcoming, even as a welcome to San Bernardino. We have it right now on 6th Street. There's no freeway entrance or exit there, just the Greyhound station.
Mm-hmm.
Why not move that sign to one of the arteries? And you know, give people a sense of welcome, and that we're not having that. So it's those are some of the points. I don't think I touched on 10. It's just a lot that the city needs to work on.
Those were all good things.
Thank you.
I want to talk about the problems. 10 problems, big problems. Those are great ideas. Let's talk about the major problems as a candidate and what the people want to hear of our problems here in this city. Let's talk about 10 of them.
Well, I would say we're probably going to talk about it too. The infrastructure, the street lights. We've talked about the street lights,
Okay.
trimming the trees, fixing the broken sidewalks, the potholes. I know the potholes are getting fixed because of the SB1 money, but when that money is out, what's going to happen? So we need to prepare for that. There is right now a 5-year program that is going to replace the street lights. 5 years to replace 40 street lights every year is not going to even do a dent to the city.
5 years, wow.
5 years. So that we're estimating 40 street lights a year. So where are we spending all that money? Why not fix all our street lights all at once? Why does it have to be 40 a year? It doesn't make sense. So it's one of those things that as a council person, you can start questioning this and put it as a requirement for the city manager. And if she ever wants to get a salary increase, you better perform.
Okay.
And if as city manager you can't perform or show us that things are going to get done in the city, then maybe we need a new city manager. That's where I stand. On our end in the 2nd Ward, we got skipped on the tree trimming. Why did we get skipped? When we were told that they were going to go block by block from the south end to the north end of town. They went from, last time I had seen them was on 11th Street and Baseline, 11th and Waterman. I was excited. I was telling my neighbors, we're next, 2nd Ward. We're gonna get our trees trimmed. Before you know it, the trees got skipped all the way up north of Highland. Why?
Really?
Exactly. So I mean, we got to find out what's going on. So if my belief is if every single resident, property owner, business owner is paying taxes to the city, we should all be serviced equally. Not take favorites, not only do one little section at a time. You got to focus on the whole city. Otherwise, if they're going to skip 2nd Ward on these services of fixing our sidewalks, our potholes, our trees, then maybe 2nd Ward should get a little tax cut, not get any revenue to the city. Like if the city doesn't want to service us, then we'd rather put that tax money on our end and we hire our own tree trimmers and our own engineers to install the lights, that's an idea. But I mean, that's how I see it. The way that the city is getting run. I've told the city manager at the council meetings, you are the CEO. As a CEO, you should be able to know how every department is functioning and where they're lacking and what we can do to change things around. And I told her, it's like online at the meetings, there's always talk about new officers being hired, but the response time is the same. What's really going on? And I had to talk to the POA for it. I was like, what's going on, you guys? We're hiring and we're losing them.
What do they say?
As soon as the new hires, a lot of them, they go through the training. It's great training that we offer here.
Mm-hmm.
They're trained. They apply at other cities that offer them better benefits. That's what's going on. The salary's fine. The concern is not the salary; it's the benefits.
Oh.
And as first responders to the crime, when you put your life on the line with an active shooter, and you don't even know if you're going to survive that shooting or if they're going to come back and threaten you and your family, they're, of course, going to go to a city that is going to offer them those benefits should anything happen to them to protect their families. So, I mean, it's just having the open dialogue.
Sounds like a big old mess.
It is a huge mess. It's not going to be easy to turn around, but I think with the proper leadership in that up in that dais at City Hall, we can make it happen. And we can turn, like Ted mentioned earlier, the same way the city went down that quick, we can turn it right back around and make it better. So yeah.
Ted, the 10 major problems in the city.
Major problems: the infrastructure, public safety, the image of the city. We have a homeless issue. County. How many dozen or so cities in this county, and we have the highest per capita of homeless and transients. We're very ill equipped to deal with them. What we need to do is we need to partner with the county, and we need to get that resolved, because it doesn't matter if you send a small army to Second Lake to clean that park up. When you have 30 transients camped there, it's never going to be available to the families who pay through taxes to keep and maintain that park. Infrastructure, the street lights. I put in. We were told by the city manager to go and report all the messed up street. Can you hear me? We're good. Oh, okay. To report all the street lights that were out. We did that, and I put them in April 12th. I put in 20 or 30 some street lights that were out in just my immediate neighborhood, in my neighborhood association, and only about half of them are done. That was April 12th of this year. Only half of them are done. We need to set deadlines. We need to set deadlines because, guess what? It's something that can always be pushed back. It's always going to be put, well, then. No, there need to be deadlines. And then on that note, there need to be performance reviews for the department heads as well as the city manager. Because right now it's unaccountable. They're unaccountable. They mess up. They're not doing their job. They're absent. There's no recourse. There's no recourse to flush out whatever we need to flush out and bring in the leadership that we need. There needs to be the apparatus there.
So I guess that's why they call it the Wild Wild West, huh?
Okay, maybe that's why. Maybe that's why.
It's a mess.
It's a mess. But with that, there's incredible things in this city. I mean, this city has spectacular view. I mean, I still have not gotten tired of it. When I look out my kitchen window, I see the beautiful, and I want to give kudos to the owners of the shopping plaza where the Superior is on 2nd Street. I don't know what. Yeah, they have maintained that shopping plaza in impeccable shape. Impeccable shape. I hope I'm allowed to do that. Well, I'm making note of how well kept that shopping plaza is, and I don't know if they feel that they have a commitment to that or a commitment to the city, but they've done great. And when I look out my window, I see the beautiful shopping plaza, and right above that is the train depot, the beautiful historic train depot, the Santa Fe train depot. And above that, on a clear day, I can see the beautiful mountains. And it is a spectacular view. And every time I go into the kitchen, I can see out my kitchen window and see that view. And I mean, we have a beautiful place we live in here. We just have to we just need to get city hall working again to fix things at the ground level. And that starts with the streets. That starts with fixing those arteries. If we fix those arteries, the progress and the cleanliness will start to leak in everywhere else. I mean, you have cities that came into existence because of either a rail line or an interstate freeway. Things can grow out of this. So if we really focus in on these arteries, 2nd Street, Waterman, Mount Vernon, Rialto Avenue, Highland, Baseline, if you really attack these head on, then we have a focus, we have a direction. And when those things get resolved, the progress is going to start to leak into the neighborhoods. I mean, we got to take back things like our parks, and we fix these streets, and it'll start. The momentum will build. The momentum will build because the people are ready for it. I can't believe how hard these people worked that out. We are the change. I went to go do that. I mean, I thought I was I'm still young enough where I think I can tussle with the best of them, but I was sweating. I was sweating when I went to go clean up those alleys. It was a Sunday morning, and these guys were hustling, and I couldn't believe it. And most of these people aren't from that neighborhood. Most of these people came from other neighborhoods. They came into this neighborhood to clean that alley.
Or other cities too. Some of them are from other cities.
Oh, they're from other cities too?
Also, yep.
Oh,
These
wow.
guys are
Real
just
talk,
fiends
real
for
action,
punishment.
great group, yeah.
That's crazy.
Some live here, but others come from
and we got to cultivate that because there's some serious energy out there. I'm proud to be from San Bernardino because we have a reputation. Well, part of it's good, part of it's bad, but the whole Wild West. I mean, you guys are something else. You guys are a cut of a different cloth. You guys are tough. You guys are tough, and I carry that. I carry that with as a distinguishing feature of San Bernardino. I mean, we put up with the problems, and we've had nosebleeds, but we get back out there, and that's demonstrated in the people who have participated in these alleyway cleanups, and people who go out there and clean parks and help the less fortunate. Everything. So we gotta cultivate that resource.
Well, we got great people in this city, and that's something that we need to tap into. We need to tap into people's gifts, what it is that they can offer to the city, and by the city silencing us, they're not hearing the talents. They're not seeing what we're capable of doing when we care about the city, and we are the change. They've been making good strides. I don't go every weekend, but when I go, at least I'm also trying to be proactive in showing the youth. It's like, hey, wherever you live, download go request, take a picture, snap it, send it to the city manager's office, and they'll take care of it.
Yes.
But when the young lady that came today, she's a Pacific High School student, and first time that she goes to the cleanups, and she couldn't clean up because of her attire. So I said, okay, I'm going to show you this Go Request app. So I walked with her. I showed her, we're going to report these potholes. We're going to report any graffiti we find. And I said, if in your area you have potholes, go ahead and report them. It's like, oh, my gosh, my mom is always arguing about those potholes. Well, now you have a tool in your hand. Does not matter how old you are. You have a cell phone. You snap that picture, put in the work order, and it'll get taken care of.
That is one of the best things out there. That city San Bernardino did a good job with. I mean, I'm sure there's a tech company that they contract with to provide that service, but it is spectacular. That Go Request, I mean, it's the most used app on my phone. I love it because it really makes you feel like you can
track certain work orders as they're coming around.
as they're going, and new versions of it. They're so integrated in your phone. You'll receive it as a text message. Hey. Something's happened with your work order, and you'll look it up, and there'll be a message. I feel like, hey, you know what? They're even better than a phone call away.
Correct.
You feel like you're communicating right to the department head that's responsible for fixing that. And of course, there's issues. I mean, we have Sandra mentioned it. We have work orders that are closed that haven't been resolved, but it takes 50. Most of my CRMs on the Go Request app I can do in less than 20 seconds.
You don't have to wait for a phone call and be transferred to a department.
20 seconds.
Because actually the co-founder for We Are the Change actually said that he had to call the city, the 7272 number for a work order. And it took him, don't know how long it took him, maybe a half hour to get through to anybody. And I was like,
Yeah,
go,
no, people don't have time
do
for
the
that.
go request, and there you go.
Done.
Couple seconds.
Done. And guess what? When they say, "Oh, we don't know," you show up. Everything's tracked. Everything's tracked, neatly tracked. It's a pretty intuitive app. Sandra, go ahead and give a plug for the We Are the Change. What's the best way to reach out to them?
Oh, they have a Facebook. Actually, they have a Spanish Facebook and an English one that We Are the Change. Somos el Cambio. San Bernardino Volunteers. So you can follow them on Facebook. I believe also they are just kickstarting a program where they can actually text people who are interested where the next cleanup location is. But for that, follow them on Facebook. We Are the Change, and ask them, it's like, please text me, and they're pretty good about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very happy with that group. I told Luis, like, you guys have been so persistent, and they said all we want is for our city leaders, even the candidates, to come out and see what's going on, see it firsthand. And I told them, like, I see it, trust me. I'm constantly going to those council meetings and telling them, and I'm being in my area. Before my back got hurt, I was doing cleanups without, just volunteering. We want to see the change. We have to be the change. We have to do it. And I love that group. So definitely Facebook, We Are the Change. I don't know if they have a Twitter. I mean, I don't know if Luis wants me to give out his cell phone number. But I would definitely tell people to go on Facebook and look him up. We Are the Change, San Bernardino Volunteers.
Yeah.
Great group.
And watch out for Luis, because if he tells you to help lift a stump onto a dump truck like I did, get ready to lift some weight. there's a tree stump the size of this table. He's like, all right, we're gonna put it up into the truck, and I didn't want to. He basically called me out, so I was like, all right.
Well, not only that, but if people have anger issues, this is good. This is gonna be awesome because there are mattresses out there and couches that are tossed on the corner, and if you see their videos, you can see people take out their anger on those couches and they dismantle them, and they can properly put them on the dump truck.
Yeah.
We gotta be safe. Safety is always first.
Uh-huh.
You want to make sure you don't get near any human. What's the proper word to use?
Human waste.
Well, there was another nicer word to it, but we just have to be careful what we pick up out there when we're out there. So, and if you're hammering away at a couch, make sure that you don't hammer your toes.
Yeah, no, it's pretty safe. I don't think anyone was it. But it's hard work. It's hard work. But it just goes to show the mentality of plenty of people here in the
And they're
city.
not paying us for this commercial for them, by the way. We're doing it because they're doing great.
No,
great,
because we're
work
impressed
out
by
there.
them. Because we're impressed by them. They do good work.
I guess you guys had some fans because they were saying wonderful people up there.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we saw earlier that there's 19 shares. Of
Both of us or just one of us?
Both of you.
Oh, thank you.
Well, there you go. I mean, I'm telling you, Danny, you're an example of that. I mean, were you born and bred here in San Bernardino?
No, I came here 40 years ago.
Okay, well, 40 years. So you've still been here
But
longer
he's
than I have.
heavily invested. He
Yeah.
has
Yeah,
property in
yeah,
San
you see,
Bernardino.
this is the
He
thing.
has
Yeah,
his
so you're
business.
San Bernardino. So I mean, it's people like you, people like Louis that We Are the Change. We're here to work for you guys. That motivates us. I know it motivates Sandra. It motivates me because if we succeed, if we do what we promise to do, people
get it
like
done.
you, people like Luis,
Yeah.
people like We Are the Change, they benefit from that.
Yeah, I was kind of worried about when NBC left the Carousel Mall because I was there for 8 years.
Yeah.
And all the politicians came there. Sandra knows. And
Mhm.
I did a lot of interviews.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started building this, and was worried about the politicians coming here. But I want to keep the radio in San Bernardino to inform our people.
Yeah.
And that's why I created this.
Oh, you've done a great job with it. At first, I was surprised. I didn't know what to look for. I didn't know if it was a house or a commercial building. But I don't know if you did this on purpose or this was an accident, but your front door was open and the lights were on.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Feel
so I
safe
thought,
here.
yeah, there you go. So I just thought, well, maybe it's these guys. Maybe he's welcoming. Maybe it's his little, his way of showing me that, hey, come in. This is where it is. Yeah. And then I pull out to the back and I think, all right, this is definitely it because there's this 40-foot trailer back there or longer with your face on it and the radio station. I'm like, okay, I'm definitely in the right place.
Okay.
And he heard you from in here.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, that must be him.
Oh yeah.
Heard my
Yeah.
name.
No, it's neat. You've done a great job with this, and I'm telling you, it's a real service to the people here because I'm a newfound believer in the long form interview. This is a great opportunity for people to see how we are and how we think for
Yes.
sure. I like that Sandra was able to join us. Otherwise, I'd feel probably a little like
Like, what to expect?
yeah,
What's he
yeah,
gonna
no, but
ask?
with Sandra here, it's a conversation. And that's what the voters want. They want to be able to have a conversation with people. There was such a following and such respect for Franklin Delano Roosevelt because he gave what was called the fireside chats. So he would go on the radio, and people would sit around the radio. This is back 20s, 30s, 40s.
Before Facebook.
Before TV. And they sat around the radio and they listened to him, and people felt like their president was right there in the living room with them. There was a guy, a construction worker, who was running home, and all his coworkers, hey, where are you going so fast? I got to hurry up and get home because my president is waiting for me, because they knew that the fireside chats were going to start at a certain hour, and he wanted to be there for that. When people feel that connected to their representatives, to their leaders, I'm telling you, the sky's the limit.
We
Because
need to
people
get that
feel
back.
they're just an arm's length away from the people who can help them when it's necessary.
If we all do just a little bit, we can make it work.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
oh yeah,
Just a little bit. you
Well,
know?
this is your little bit. That's pretty
Yeah.
big.
yeah. No, this is good. This is good, and I'm gonna come on again. Coming on again.
Great.
You
Yeah.
heard it first. At the Danny Alcaraz show.
So the homeless, what do we do about that? Some of it says good. I mean, basically they gave up on business, they say, or drugs, or how did they wind up there, and how did they get so many? And what do we do about it?
I can talk about what I know.
Okay?
When I was
Because
first,
that is a main topic that a lot
Correct.
of people want to talk about. They
Well-
want to talk about that homeless.
I follow social media quite a bit, and when I first joined the this is another pitch that I'm gonna make. I Love San Bernardino Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
It gets rowdy in there, just a forewarning for some people, but it's about San Bernardino mostly, loving San Bernardino. And when I first moved to the city, I don't have family out here. They're all in Santa Ana, California,
Okay.
or in Chicago or San Francisco or Georgia. Yeah, I have family everywhere, but in San Bernardino, it's just me. So I wanted to know what was going on, and I would listen to the co-founder Robert Porter posting, "Get involved, come out to vote, go to the council meetings." And you know, when I first came here, I wanted a walking group because I walk a lot. I would go hiking in Orange County. I did several 5Ks, and nobody wanted to go walking with me because they were afraid of the crime. It's like, are you crazy at 5 in the morning? And that's the type of person. I wake up early and I want to walk. I couldn't, so I found one friend, and I consider her a really good friend, who took me up an offer out of, I don't know how many thousand people were back there in 2015. And she said, I'll walk with you. So she would literally walk with me all down Highland on E Street. And then I did it with my bosses too, on 13th Street. Like, damn, we're hardcore. Nothing's happening to us though. Let's keep walking. So when he was talking about getting involved, I was like, I want to find out why people are so scared, why they're so negative with the city. And I started going to those council meetings in 2015, and you can just see that disconnect. People were going there. They were talking about their quality of life, how projects would affect their livelihood, and and you see the council people voting different than what they were told by their constituents. Like, why are they doing this? So I started being the voice for my neighbors too, because they also had their complaints. I know my neighbors. I think I'm going off on a tangent, but they say that
That's okay. They want to hear it all.
Okay, well, they've lived here for over 20, 30 years, and they're elderly in the corner where I live. For them, it was a tree, a pine, it's on city property, and it's blocking one of the Edison lights. And they told me that they had been calling the city for almost 20 years on that tree to get it trimmed. And the response that we're getting was, if you don't like living here, move out. That's not the customer service we need to provide to the people who live here.
Right.
So, that's when I already had go request. And when I reported it, the tree got trimmed within 2 days. And my neighbors are like, wow, are you kidding us? We've been calling for 20 years and nobody's been coming out here to trim our tree. Like, well, I guess the go request worked. And so we've made strides in that area. And I forgot where I was going with this, but city council meetings. So there's that disconnect. And me being here, trying to figure out what was going on in the city, has made my neighbors trust in me enough that they encouraged me to run for office, because I was getting things done that nobody else was hearing them on. That's why I love San Bernardino, because Robert Porter, the co-founder, one of the founders, he's constantly on it. Go to the council meetings, vote, register, and vote. He genuinely wants people to get involved. And it's not until we are in there watching these meetings, seeing how it all comes down and how it affects us in our daily lives, that we say we need a change.
I think a lot of people don't understand that.
It's a lot. Yeah.
When they go up there and you get your 3 minutes, and then the bickering and the faces and all that kind of stuff, and the changes and this and that, everybody starts bickering and back and forth, back and forth. It's been like that for years.
Wow.
Years and years since I've been doing it. I've been around a long time, and I've been seeing it a long, long time.
Well, we haven't bickered tonight.
Oh, you guys did great.
Between the two of us, I think we're on the same page. I think we're on the same
many of
page
us
on yeah.
I think everybody's just ready for change in this city.
Yeah.
And I just hope they do come out to vote in November.
65% of people in my election, my primary election, voted for a young new candidate. This is the thing. I'm 30 years old, and say, "Oh, you're young," but my two of my opponents in the primary election were
In the
20,
20s, right?
early 20s, like 23 and 22. So they were young people. So I commend them for going out there and
Giving it a try.
giving it a try. I mean,
It's not easy.
No.
definitely not
running
easy.
for
They put their
office.
neck out there. They did.
Yeah.
They put their neck out there. And I would tell
I
you
know why you guys are doing it, for that big giant paycheck.
Oh, yeah.
the huge paycheck, enormous paycheck, enormous paycheck. So Sandra,
We're doing
you
it
gotta,
for free already.
So explain to people.
Okay.
Explain to people that what our exact pay is, because I've had so many. Well, not so many people, but I've had a couple people tell, "Oh, you're doing it for the money."
What
So
money?
explain. Yeah. So explain. So
They
Would
must
it's
be
been
talking about the
$500
campaign contributions,
500
because salary-wise, council people right now are getting $50 stipend a month.
yeah.
Only $50. And when they go up on the dais, they're sometimes there till 1 in the morning, reviewing agenda item after agenda item, asking questions.
It's supposed to be
discussing it.
quote unquote part time, right?
It's a part-time, and
But
it's
it's
only
really-
$50.
It's really
A month.
full time.
Yeah.
It really is full time.
Well, I mean, they increased the salary now per the new charter. They were to give salaries to the new council people, and I think in January they're going to start doing it.
So
I
would you say
think.
17 is going to be is what they had? 17 is what they're going for right
Oh,
now.
is it 17? Last I heard was 14,000 a
That's
year.
what I thought. 14.
Oh, okay. maybe it
But
is 14.
right now currently it's $50 stipend. They
Yeah.
do have $750 towards a vehicle. So if they're leasing or buying a vehicle, they can spend as much as $750 on it. They have full medical coverage.
What about dinner, and luncheons, and stuff like that?
Oh, I don't know about that. From what I'm seeing, though, a lot of these council people, they get sent from the city to attend certain conferences. I don't know how that works out. I
Probably a
think
per
they get
diem-
reimbursed
per diem maybe.
per diem, perhaps. I don't know. But I know when you're running a campaign on our end, and this is something that people need to understand, when we get donations, contributions from either deep pockets or your community, most of that money is towards your campaigning, whether it's creating flyers, having community events and talking to the voters, door hangers, mailers, paying for your filing fee. People don't realize you have to pay for that too. So it's a lot of expenses that we do that we would otherwise not be able to pay out of pocket for. I know some of our council people donate to their local nonprofits, who in return give back to the communities. So I think that most of the money is used towards your campaigning. That's how it's supposed to be. So if you have a dinner or a lunch with a potential donor, you want to do the right thing and be hospitable to them and pay for their meal. And sometimes it could be a group of business owners that you're talking to, and you want to be courteous and offer them something. And that's where the big expenses are showing that people are showing online. It's like they're not showing the true picture. They're just saying, oh, they spent $800 on a dinner, but they don't take into consideration how many people were at that table or what was discussed. But it's, it's for their campaigning. I know some of these.
Is that false news?
I think they're using that. No, they're trying to spin it a certain way.
Yeah.
I've called out those pages like, oh, you guys are just one-sided. Like, you got to see everybody's 460, not just a selected few. So they've done that. It seems like it's the same people about the cannabis. When they have the Measure O page, it's like, who are you guys? And then when you see that Flesh Club gets the one and only permit because of that ordinance that passed, it's like, huh. I asked the city, can you guys please explain how they got the first permit, being that they're another business? And they couldn't give me an answer.
Money.
Yeah. You think? Money. So I think that's where people think where a lot of this idea of council people making the money because they get contributions. And sometimes with those contributions come promises. So when they go up there, the right thing to do is, if you know that one of your donors is presenting a project, the right thing to do is to walk out of that dais, to not even vote. Just stay silent. Say, let the other council people vote. That's the ethically correct thing to do. But we're seeing that it's not really happening. We have people that are getting money and they don't walk out. They stay there and they still make their vote in favor of that donor. So we got to be careful who we get money from. Most of my money is from my family and friends and colleagues from UCLA.
Well, I kind of think the whole world's like that. Don't you think, Sandra?
I think so, yeah.
The whole world in the politics, basically.
Oh, especially the state ones and the federal ones. All that money they get.
Yeah, big time. Everybody's getting money. Back to the homeless.
The homeless. So I was getting to the homeless, right? So the way that's how I was getting introduced to the city. And I started seeing that there was a group. I'm not sure how active they still are. I haven't seen them much. But before We Are the Change, we had San Bernardino Generation Now that was doing cleanups at Sycamore Lake Park.
Oh, they're still around?
No, they were doing them back in the day when I was trying to, what's going on in the city? So I was trying to get involved, get to know these groups. And I would go, and basically what I do is I report. And by then I already knew about Go Request. And I don't know if anybody remembers, there was a slide in the playground that was sliced open, which is dangerous for the kids. And I reported it, and I remember at the Ho-Ho parade, I saw the director of Parks and Rec back then was Mickey Valdivia?
Mickey Valdivia, yeah.
I approached him and was like, and he was with his wife. This is like out of business hours, right? Like, Mickey, why aren't you guys fixing that slide? There's kids going, and at least block it off or something. And he's like, oh, we don't have money right now. It's like, I looked at his wife. Would you take your children to a park where the slide could potentially slice your kid's leg? And she looked at him. I was like, exactly, Mickey. Do to our city what's right if you were to live here. And within 2 weeks or less than a month, it was really quick, they actually took it off. But it took me bugging them. I was like, this is not right. So I started helping or going to the cleanups at Sycamore Lake Park, and then you start seeing the homeless camping out there. It's like, what's going on? So the more you get involved, the more you find out. Come to find out, that other cities were dropping off homeless into our city. I was seeing patrol cars from Redlands, from Fontana,
Really,
Rialto.
I heard that, and I didn't think it was
I
true.
actually saw them.
Yeah, yeah.
Really?
And when I told this to
It's
the
true.
council,
Wow, even from L.A. too, right?
I haven't seen LA,
I
but
heard
I've
LA.
seen some that are not from here, so they were dropping them off. And
Wow.
at that time, before I was appointed commissioner for community development, there was already what they called the Access Center at Sikkim Lake Park, and that was supposed to help house the homeless, right? So our police officers, knowing that there was that Access Center that was getting so much money from HUD, from our city that we were given to them,
Wasn't there $500,000,
$400,000 to $600,000.
something like that?
Yeah, and it was only for 2 years, but
Does that money went bye-bye too?
that money has gone bye-bye.
No, okay.
And that money was mostly going to the CEO. So when I got appointed, it was after they made the selection. We were not going to allocate that much money to Access Center. But, Virginia advocated for it, and she was able to convince our city manager back then to give them up to, I think it was $600,000. The application they submitted, they were asking for $200,000 in HUD money, CDBG money. Of those $200,000, $80,000 alone was just for the CEO, leaving $120,000. So they had to pay their staff, they had to pay their security guard. And as a commissioner, once I got commissioned, I went in there and I started asking them questions like, do you guys not walk out in the park and talk to the homeless that we have here and see what their needs are? Oh, we're not allowed to. They need to come into our building. I'm like, okay, well, the ones that come in here for rapid rehousing, how many of those do you help? And they said it's a small percentage. I'm like, well, why is that? Well, they had to prove they are residents of the city of San Bernardino. And a lot of the homeless that were being dropped off here, they had no ID. And nobody knew where they were coming from. They were just being brought in. And I remember having this conversation with our PD that if they saw a homeless person randomly on our streets, they would grab him or say, we're going to take you to a place that's going to help you with resources. And when they got here, Access Center turned them away.
So not only do we got the people from San Bernardino, the homeless, we got all kinds of other cities
Correct.
bringing all these people in, and we got to deal with that too, on top of everything else. That's
And
a big problem.
Not only that, but if I don't know who followed the mayor race during the primary, but Danny Tillman made a really strong point. So the state is releasing felons, giving them the new charge as a misdemeanor and releasing them to the streets
Because the jails were full.
because they're full. And what's happening is not only do we have our homeless from other cities and dropped off in our city, but we're having those criminals or former criminals being dropped off in our city because we have a probation office on I think it's on 2nd and Arrowhead. So they're dropping them off in that area. And these people, they have to stay within our city limits so they can check in. Well, when people have a criminal history, nobody wants to hire them. So what do? They do what they know best, and it's committing crime. Whether it's terrorizing our homeless people, we've had several stabbings. Several of our homeless have been killed already. We've had homes being broken into. We've had bicycles stolen. We've had, so far we don't have the, hepatitis outbreak out here. But we have a lot of the human waste out in the vacant lots.
You know,
They're camping out there.
We got the new mosquito
Yeah,
that came out here, right?
yeah. Who brought that mosquito?
That was
Which one? The
Came from
The
Asia.
ankle mosquito.
Yeah, came from Asia.
It
ankle
bites. It bites.
ankle mosquito.
Yes.
Mhm.
Oh, jeez.
But I don't know.
Everybody at my job's getting bit. Even
Oh, geez.
Fontana.
Well, I heard that they're carrying the West Nile virus too
Yes.
right now. So,
Hmm.
I mean, there's a lot of health concerns that are coming up. So, when I have a group of Democrats that speak against me, they're saying you're not a Democrat. If you're a Democrat, you would be willing to help the homeless. And it's like, well, let's talk about it. We've released criminals into our city as well. Nobody's hiring them. There's no felon-friendly jobs. So we're passing all these laws or legislation at the state level that's affecting us in our city. Nobody's held accountable. Why don't we create felon-friendly jobs? Those that are willing and able-bodied will work. I told him, I was like, I did a cleanup. It was just me at 5, 6 in the morning on F and 20th, pulling out weeds. A gentleman who had just come out of jail. He had a tattoo of the arrowhead. He loves the city. He saw me by myself and he approached me and he helped me pull out weeds, and that meant a lot to him. And I know years past we've told our PD, why don't we offer jobs to our homeless? Some don't want to be homeless. They've either lost a job, they've lost a spouse, perhaps they lost their homes, they have nowhere to go, and they all they want is a job. They don't have their IDs because their IDs get stolen when they're out there.
A lot of them owe child support and they can't pay it.
That's the other one, yeah. So it's a multifaceted, multi-layered issue that we're dealing with here with the homeless. And I love our nonprofits who are out in the community, getting to know them.
Mm-hmm.
I think if our PD, if our police officers and our sheriff's department collaborate with these local nonprofits, they know what the needs of each individual person is. We can help tackle the homeless, and the best way to start is by those who are ready to get helped. We can't help the people who are on drugs, obviously, because they're not all there. They're on highway heaven. They're up in the clouds.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't help people with mental disabilities, and we can't even grab them and take them into a medical facility because we allow them. I guess we can't get them against their will. We can't take them against their will.
Mm-hmm.
So they're out in our streets. We can't do anything about them until they hit rock bottom and they say, I need the help. Because our police officers that go to those encampments, they give them a list of resources. And we had a perfect example this morning, one of a Vietnam veteran that was camping behind an alley. You know, one of our council members that was there to clean up spoke to him and said, you can't be here. He got onto her face and she said, I'm willing to give you a list of resources where you can go. He refused the services. His ID said he lived in another city, but he's camping in our alleys, and we're here cleaning alleys. So it's the best way to tackle the homelessness is by helping those who want the help, first and foremost. And we won't be able to help people who are mentally unstable. We can't help the
So
people who are on drugs until they hit rock bottom.
So what do we do with them, those people?
People would love to put them in one house, build shelter. We can build the shelters all they want, but they have a right to refuse.
Mm-hmm.
We can't force them. And that's my thing I would like to work on, though, is if we know where they came from, ask the cities to help us financially. It's like, hey, we have a person that's costing our police force to attend to them. Why don't you give us some money so that we can help pay for at least an officer or two, or get somebody in the county to follow up with that person, make sure they're okay and that they're taken care of. That would be an idea. I don't know if the other cities will abide by it, but they're not even allowed to drop them off in our city, but they are. And we're not prosecuting. We're not prosecuting even the cities. As a council person, I would love to go to those cities at their council meeting and say, hey, I have 10 of your homeless population in my city. I have 10 criminals. The money is spending this much money a year for each one of these people. Fork it up. Because they're cleaning out their cities, and our city's the one left with the mess.
Wow.
So
I didn't know that.
it's a like I said, multi-layered,
There's a big
complex
problem.
issue with the
Yeah,
homelessness. It's
big,
not an
big-
easy fix.
Yeah, big problem.
Yeah. So
Wow,
I don't know.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you just gotta be out in the community and hear all these stories, and then you'll find out like, wow, yeah, we can't house them all. They won't want the housing. They don't want the resources, and they're protected by the law to do as they please and camp wherever they want.
And you agree with all that, Ted?
Yeah, I absolutely do. Couldn't agree more. We're having to use our most expensive arm of our city government, the police force, to handle these people. So it's a serious drain. It's a serious drain on our resources. And the the police department's budget is 75% of the city's budget.
Well, I saw the OpenGov website and it said 40% of our budget is for them, but then I was hearing it's 80% of our budget.
So you see, it's
So
somewhere-
even that is unclear.
So it's but it's a lion's share. It's a lion's share of the city's budget, and then they're spending half their time dealing with the transients camped out on our streets and in our neighborhoods and our parks. So there's got to be a better solution, because it's what we're doing right now is that we're putting a very expensive Band-Aid on this problem, and it's a Band-Aid that's not even sticking. What we need to do is we need to build transitional housing, but away from our parks. This idea that somehow we can have an access point, basically in proximity to our parks, and the anchor city park of our city, makes no sense. Makes no sense. These parks and these neighborhoods belong to the residents of this city. They don't belong to them. And they're suffering from a disease, and we need to find a cure for them. But it's not by just letting them crawl all over us. We can't do that.
Wow. Big old mess.
Huge mess.
Okay, it's almost time to wrap it up. So,
Past my bedtime.
What time is it?
I
We're looking at 11 o'clock.
Really?
Time goes by quickly when you're having fun.
It's not 10? It says 10 on that one.
Am I looking at the wrong time? Oh, okay.
Wow.
I better
Okay.
wake up.
I encourage San Bernardino people to vote. It's very important. Very, very important. And I know they feel kind of like they don't. What for? What for? I know that. But if you don't vote,
Somebody else will.
yes, and
The minority.
there's not going to be no change. And gotta at least try.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't give up.
That's the bottom line. And I'm putting my time in. Everybody should put theirs. Everybody do a little bit of something. And we can make San Bernardino all-American city once again if we all work together. Not bicker, not argue, not any of that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
So it's very important. And we got new people coming in. And you never know. I mean, everything could change, and we can get our city back.
It can happen in one lifetime.
Yes.
I know that it can be that.
So November 6th, and I don't know how to. You guys explain how to get them to vote, and what are the arrangements, and they can do it by mail. I know it was by 13th and all kinds of stuff. So you guys explain all that.
Well, the absentee ballots are almost coming out in about a week. They should be receiving them. And they can fill it out. I would start with the local level first. If you're not sure about the state initiatives, you can hold on to it until you find out about the state initiatives. But if you know who you want to vote for the local level, definitely mark them off. So the mail-in ballots, they require 2 stamps, postage stamps. But the state is allowing us to collect the ballots now. So if somebody needs somebody to pick it up on their behalf and drop it off at the Register of Voters, we can do that. So that's one way. They can still register to vote, I think, until October 22nd to vote for November 6th. And that's the deadline. And then I personally, I carry my forms. I have blank forms. So if anybody, if there's new people that turned 18 or moved into the city and I come across them, I give them the forms. Like, here we go. Change your address and register to vote. So we have absentee ballots coming in. And then I don't know the exact date yet, but they're going to have early voting also.
Okay.
So they can go to certain locations and go vote in person if they would prefer. But a lot of our elderly, they prefer the absentee ballots. And there's a small little tiny group that still has pride like we do in going in person, voting, and getting our sticker.
That's what I do.
So
That's what I do.
and yeah, get it out of the way as soon as you can.
Yeah, and if this is what I've done in recent years, and it's really convenient, is at the office of the registrar of voters in the county. on Rialto Avenue. I don't know what the address is. Just look at-
777.
Yeah.
777
East.
East Rialto Avenue. In a couple weeks, you're going to be able to. Well, how soon? There's a polling place that's going to be open a couple weeks before Election Day, November 6th, where you can go and vote. And it's just like a regular polling place, except it's been open. It's going to be open for a couple weeks before the election. You can go in there. You can't make the excuse now that I'm busy on Tuesdays. You have a couple weeks to go in there in person, cast your ballot.
I actually got to cast it on a Saturday.
Oh, wow.
Are they
And-
open on Saturdays now?
I think maybe the last weekend on Saturday it's
All right,
open.
there you go. You got Saturdays. You got
And
weeks.
then they're open till 8 p.m. at times. So definitely there's and people shouldn't have an excuse. A lot of these jobs allow you to take some time off to vote on Tuesday, November 6th. That in itself, if you work far, just tell your job like, hey, I need to take some time off to vote, and do it first thing in the morning. I know for the primaries, a lot of where I live, the original polling place got moved to a new one, and had I not told voters where to go, they would have gone to the old place and missed out on voting. So we'll also let them know where to vote.
So you guys want to give out your information and how to get a hold of you and all that kind of stuff?
Ted, go first.
Absolutely. I'm Theodore Sanchez, and I'm running for city council in the 1st Ward. My phone number, if you want to reach out to me, is 909-831-7839.
One more time.
909-831-7839. And that rings not to an office, not to a secretary, but to my personal cell phone. If I don't pick up, leave a message. I will always get back to you. All right? And you can find out more about my campaign at votetedsanchez.com.
Sandra?
All right, I have several. I have Twitter, Sandra Ibarra for Second Ward City Council, and I think the what's it called, the the line, it's gonna be Ibarra, the number 4, SB, and then number 2. I think that's it. And then I also have a Facebook, Sandra Ibarra for Second Ward City Council. I have a website. It's Ibarra for the number 4 council.com. And my last name, Ibarra, you spell it with the I, B as in boy, ARRA. There's different ways of spelling that last name. So to make sure people get it right. My phone number, I don't have a secretary. I do it all by myself. People can text me. I respond quicker via text. And the number is 909-375-8012. That's my 909 number, but I have a 714, and I don't know if people can dial long distance, but either way, it's going to get back to me. My email address is Ibarra, the number 4, council@gmail.com. So there's many ways to reach me. I provide this information as I'm walking and giving my literature to the voters as well. Okay.
So I hope you guys enjoyed
Thank you.
enjoyed being here.
Oh, I absolutely did.
And I think the people did because they got a one-on-one experience with our new candidates.
Thank you.
San Bernardino.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish you guys the best of luck, and I hope you guys come back.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you for the invite.
Thanks
And you know
for
I'll
the
be back.
opportunity. Oh, and I definitely will. We need to do something where it's we'll set politics aside for just one evening, and just chit chat because people.
I don't know if I know how to do that. I've been doing it so long.
I know. Well, we'll teach you. We'll teach you. We'll just sit down here and we'll.
Oh, he's chit chatting with us right here.
This is chit chat right here. This is what we're
Okay.
looking for.
All right.
I like it. I don't know. I mean, Danny, can I ask?
Sure.
I mean, he hasn't tried jumping over that window.
Yeah,
already.
are
We're
you
good.
typically this informal? Would you say? Or are they more uptight a little? What I haven't. I don't know what they typically are like. Is this typically how they go? So I'm feeling pretty relaxed. I'm really enjoying this.
You know what? Yes.
You're in your zone, Ted.
Yes, they come, and I started with Benito, and for here, and now Gil, now you guys. And
Mhm.
it was relaxing. It was
Pretty good.
and it was like regular radio. This is different because it's like home, and people want to hear the homebody
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
I guess that's the easiest way to explain it. The homebody stuff, and they want to one-on-one.
I mean, it's a feature. I mean, how many times have you heard that? Well, I voted for him because he sounds like someone I could, have a beer with. Because people sometimes don't want that. They don't want someone who's going to be so rigid that you can't communicate with them at a human level.
Okay.
And we're both bilingual, by the way. Someone's bilingual.
Hablo español.
Habla con español con un pocho.
Los candidatos del Distrito 1, Distrito 2, Distrito 4, Alex Beltrán, somos todos bilingües. I think Alex is.
Órale, Holmes.
Y también hablamos Spanglish.
Ajá. Poquito de todo.
Yeah.
So we are human. So
Yeah,
and
check it
we're
out.
Here. We want to hear from everybody.
So San Bernardino, we got some new people coming in.
Yes.
It's very important to vote. Very, very important. And this year is different than all the other years. For some reason, it's just different. And but look, we got a millennial coming in. Is running for office. And
The generation's up and coming.
Sandra Ibarra.
Yeah.
I've been watching her for years.
He has.
And wow.
He started with the parcel tax, I think. That's the first one. Yeah.
So people, it's very important to vote. So we got to make that move and make that movement. And I know it's
They have nothing to lose.
yeah. They say no. I wish it would be someone else. And no, it is what it is. You got two candidates. This ward, that ward, this ward, that ward. Now and you either vote for either or. There ain't no in between. There ain't. So make your choice. At least you tried, and then we go from there, and we work together and make our city better.
And
All American city once again, and I would love to have that back somehow, some way. And I'm willing to fight.
There you go.
I'm willing to work. But I need everybody else to participate too.
Correct. One person can make all the change.
So
Takes a village.
Yeah, I'm doing my part,
village.
bringing it
Yes.
to you guys on radio.
There you
And
go.
I'll do more. I need you guys too.
Right.
The people. We
Yes.
the people. That's why they call it We the People.
Uh-huh.
So thank you so much, Sandra Ibarra.
Gracias, Danny. Thank you.
Second ward.
Merci beaucoup.
And Mr. Theodore Sanchez, the first ward. It's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you for having us.
And hope to see you guys real soon.
Hopefully
I'm
up there making change.
When's the next city council meeting?
Next Wednesday,
Next Wednesday, yeah.
Not,
5 p.m.
not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday, right?
Next, yeah.
So come on, people. They moved the meetings from
Yeah.
starting at, what time was it, before 2 p.m. or 4?
Yeah.
To starting at
5
5.
o'clock,
So
5
there's no
o'clock.
excuse to get involved. I'm actually, when I knock on doors and I leave my door hangers, and the people that I speak to, I tell them, there's my phone number, there's my email. I need you to hold me accountable. I want to hear from you. I'm not here to just come and get your vote. No, it's going to start now. And if there's something that you want to address, then we'll start working on it.
Same thing with me. My information's all out there. There's a lot of people. Oh, I don't want to.
We're not going to
phone
sleep.
calls. Yeah, but phone numbers right there, emails right there. It's all there. So you're always you always have the opportunity to reach out to me.
And we have full-time jobs, but we will get back to you.
Yeah,
So
we're
Sandra-
not sleeping much, but we're
I-
surviving somehow.
I know
Yes, sir.
I know what that's like. San Bernardino people, I know how you feel, and I know it's hard. I know. We got to move forward. That's it.
Yes.
There you
And
go.
we will learn from the mistakes. So
Mhm.
that's the best thing to do.
So if you got any questions for Sandra Ibarra or Theodore Sanchez, when we have our next show, you can contact us, and we'll go from there. And then we'll ask the questions on air. Anything you need to know.
Mhm.
We're on the hot seat.
Yeah. Anything you need to know. We'll
It's not
answer all your-
scripted.
all your questions.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you guys, and until next time.
All right, Danny.
Thank you,
thanks.
Danny. Thank you, everybody watching and listening.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Where's the camera? Here or here?
Looks like a home.
Yeah.
Oh.
I can hear the angels ringing their chimes of a bell. As the time goes by, a world of paradise. We had time, you and I, to smile, laugh, and cry. So wipe away your tears and remember the happy years. Forever and forever, I live inside your dreams. My heart, my love will be together, just you and me. The morning, a sunrise, every evening, a sunset. I whispered a word that's true, and at this moment, I'm with you. The first spring of romance, a summer we play and dance. To fall in love one night, then a warm winter every night. Forever and forever, I live inside your dreams. My heart, my love will be together, just you and me. Forever and forever, I live inside your dreams. My heart, my love will be together, just you and me. I can hear